Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Welcome back, everyone.
It's been a while.
We're excited to get you here for episode 401 of the Massenomics podcast. We're not on an episode 400 hangover. We're on an episode 400 high. So prepare for a banger. This is the lifting podcast about nothing, and my name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
Did you notice what I slipped in there, Tommy?
I did. I know what you talk about when the board for us doesn't want to play our sounds good, but I did catch the end of that. I liked it.
Everyone else will hear that. Like we probably talked about it before. Some things that we play on our boards back and forth because of Zoom being weird, it doesn't come across awesome all the time to us, but the final listener will get that little stained clip. You'll hear it Lima Charlie loud and clear.
Get the real treat.
You'll also hear this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Massenomics is in the house.
Now that's a classic right there.
Massenomics is in the house. Would you say it's been a while since you've heard that?
It's been a while.
I would say it's been a little while.
I put a couple new sounds on the board.
I can tell. I
was going to sprinkle them in throughout the episode, and I'm like, nah, I'm just going to do them all right away.
Yeah, just get it out of the way. I can't hold anything back now.
I'm so excited for these sounds. I just am going to use them all immediately. I'm not going to let it play out for the perfect moment. No. I'm just going to force the issue right off the bat.
There will be no surprises here.
No, I'm coming with them hot. Also, I'm coming with this hot. Juggernaut AI. It's the training that Tommy and I use. Here's what I'd tell you about Juggernaut AI. If you're someone that has only done templates or your own coaching, quote unquote, maybe you've never paid to have a coach, you've never paid for something a little bit more serious, I would seriously recommend giving this a try. It's going to be very affordable with our discount code Massenomics. It only costs about $30 a month. You can also get a free trial for a couple of weeks. Go to juggernautai.app. That's where you log in. That's where you can check out the free trial. That's where if you decide to sign up, you can use discount code Massenomics. But what I would say, you try it for 4 to 6 months. So you've got a maybe $100 to $200 investment into this. It's going to be a worthwhile test for you. Would you pay for 6 months to make progress? Would you pay $100 or $200 to make progress on your lifting? One of your most important, one of your most favorite hobbies. If you could just for a couple $100 for half a year and you were going to make better progress than you were before, would it be worth it to you? That's the question I pose to you. And I feel like for a lot of you, the answer is an easy, resounding yes. So that's why we want you to check out juggernautai.app. Thanks, Juggernaut.
And today's episode is also brought to you by Bearfoot Shoes. Now, Tanner, you're a fellow Midwesterner like me. I might live
that's true.
I might live in eastern southeast South Dakota, and you might live in western northeast South Dakota, but we're not so different, you and me. We're pretty similar. And
we're barely different at all.
Part of living, you're a white guy in your 30s. I'm also a white guy in my 30s. We have a pretty diverse background and experience, worldview. Coming up on this time of the year, the weather gets cold. And if there's one thing I don't like, it's when my feet aren't prepared for that cold weather. And
yes.
If I'm speaking your language right now, I think there's a little something that you might want to know about. And that's the Bruin boot from Bearfoot Shoes. The Bruin is a rugged heritage-style boot designed to improve foot strength and movement quality, even in the most demanding conditions. Behind it says Western Northeast South Dakota. Its ultra-wide toe blocks and flat outsole provides a substantial barefoot experience while protecting your feet from harsh terrain. Crafted with durable, high-quality U.S. sourced leather And designed for maximal comfort and versatility, it's perfect for the everyday adventure, exploring the off the grid, or navigating the concrete jungle. Or, like me, navigating the sidewalks of your residential neighborhood while taking your dog on a walk. It's my footwear of choice in this challenging weather that's approaching us. So if you'd like a pair of Bruin boots of your own from Bearfoot Shoes, make sure to check out barefoot.store. Thank you, Bearfoot Shoes.
Oh, gee golly willikers. Thank you, Barefoot. We got a banger in store for today. Expect many more soundboard clips to come whenever relevant here. We are going to get, later on, we got a big guest, big Steve DeNovi. We're going to talk to him, talk shit about Two White Lights, see if we can catch him in the... It's going to just be a whole gotcha segment.
Yeah, it's all it is. It's the whole reason for this. We're like, we need to get someone. Get Steve on the line.
Yeah, let's get some of our arch nemesis. Do you think nemesis is plural for nemesis?
It's the first time I've heard it in that way.
Nemesises.
So
get some of our arch nemesises.
Yeah, I wonder if you just say nemesis. That just might be the plural and the singular.
Just some. Okay, yeah, it's like what is it? What else is like that? Moose.
Yeah, that sounds right.
What's the plural of moose? There's a whole bunch of moose.
Okay,
I think it's the same.
Now, actually, you really got me. You really got me wondering.
Yeah.
It is. What's the plural of moose? Moose, meese, mooses. The correct plural of moose is moose.
Okay.
Some people.
What's
add
the
an S,
past
but that's
participle? I don't know what that is. Sorry.
Oh man, do I really got to go there? Gonna make my brain hurt.
What the hell were they talking about that we say? Oh, kitty corner. Would you ever suspect that there was alternatives to kitty corner? That kitty corner was not universally accepted? You're familiar with kitty corner, right?
Oh god, like yes, 100% diagonal.
Yeah.
You know, it's it's diagonal across the street. Like, you're on one block corner. Kitty corner is the diagonal.
Big Daminger says it's caddy corner.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was gonna say. Is that what people are saying? Which is so crazy to me that's a saying.
I've never heard that before, ever.
I have heard that before.
Okay, if someone said that, I'd be like, oh, you had like a slip, like you have Tourette's or something, and accidentally, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why that's must be an East Coast thing, but I have heard that. It is very weird. So kitty corner probably sounds really weird too.
The one web article someone found did say that kitty corner is widely more accepted, and if I know anything about the internet, it's if you find one article and if it shares the same viewpoint as you run with it.
Confirmed. Yep.
Yes, that's say no more. That is all I need to hear. Should we dip into a little? Do you got a beverage over there this week?
I do got a beverage.
This is a what's in the can segment, kind of.
Last week, all three beverages of mine just worked so good that I'm going to start off where I left off, which was with the raspberry bubbly. I actually really had to pee last week by the time we got done. 3 hours in.
Oof.
The three beverages.
I think that was that our longest podcast ever? We've probably done 3 hours a couple times.
Might have been, actually, because I think there's been a couple where we just broke 3 hours, but was last week 3:20? Is that what it was?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was a while. It was absolutely a while. This isn't what's in my can. This is what's my can in. A relatively new segment to the podcast. What's my can in? It's in the Massenomics Drink Spotter Light. Oh, y'all think we forgot about the Drink Spotter Light? Think again.
And it's holding that polar seltzer too.
Yeah. This polar seltzer, I already know it's going to be delicious.
Got that good stuff.
This just in, I went to the grocery store the other day.
What?
And I picked this out myself.
Well, did you look and you said, you know what? It's December. I better get there so I can say I've been there once this year.
You know what? I was honestly thinking, like, gosh, it doesn't seem like I've been to the grocery store in a while. It almost seems like
It's been a while.
Did they play that song when you walk in the door?
Yeah, every time I walk through the door at the grocery store, it's Stain plays It's Been a While.
They said, all right, guys, he's here. We can go home for 6 more months.
It's like a turd stain. That's what I think about when it's like a race. What do you, if you get a smear of poop in your undies, what do you call that?
Shit stain.
Yeah, shit stain. What about a racing stripe?
I've never called
Are you
it
familiar with
racing
racing stripe? Would you know if someone said racing stripe? Would that?
I think I could use the
anything?
context clues to figure it
Yeah.
out, but
Yeah.
I've never used that saying before.
Skid mark. Big Colton said
yeah,
skid mark.
skid mark,
Definitely
yeah.
skid mark for sure, right?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's probably the most commonly known one, right?
Yeah. I like racing stripe, but that might not be very common, and I own that
Yeah.
it's probably not. But skid mark I think is good.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm gonna crack in. This is a tart cherry limeade polar, and it called me from the aisle of. There's so many cells there. Like what used to go on the shelves where this whole
It
aisle
is
is
hilarious
of sparkling
to think of.
waters
Yes,
now.
10 years ago, none of these existed, or there was one shitty little flavor to pick from. So yeah, what was on these shelves before? Was it just that much more soda to pick from?
Oh my God, this is good. This is a top tier. This is a
You say tart cherry limeade? Is that the one?
Yeah,
Yeah, that is
polar
top tier.
tart cherry limeade.
Yeah.
This is a 4.5.
That's
for me.
really good.
This is freaking delicious.
Yeah. And Polar likes
Boy.
to pump that flavor up just a little bit more
Yeah.
too.
That's freaking delicious. That's just an excellent sparkling water. I can't say enough good about Polar in this case. Okay. Oh, what do we want to bounce to next? We should mention Crew Falls again. Just one. I don't think we got to talk much about it, but it's coming up in
This
just
is the week.
a few days. This is the week, right? So it's Crew Falls is in how many days? Like 4. 4 days. T minus 3 to 4 days, and we'll be doing it, man.
Oh, I'm excited. It's gonna be a
We'll
good
be
time.
doing the damn thing.
Gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah.
So if you're listening live, there's still a chance for you to come. If you're listening to this when the episode comes out, that means, hopefully we all survive the wild and wacky weekend.
Yeah. I hope so. Got to have something to talk about on the podcast.
Yeah. Hopefully we should have a good 3-4 YouTube videos that come out of that, and we'll recap it on the podcast so everyone will get to hear the zany fun that we come up with in Crew Falls.
It'll be
More,
fun.
I think maybe more importantly than that, though, we have, we're kind of just wrapping up our giant Black Friday drop, which is huge for us, of course. That's our biggest drop of the year. It's our biggest sales event of the year. I guess the Arnold is kind of up there close with it, but I still say Black Friday is our biggest sales event of the year. We put a lot into that, but we do have this little kind of mini, relatively speaking, very mini drop in December that's coming. And the main reason we have the mini drop in December, like we do in the last few years, is if you've been around for a while, we give out something free in December for everyone that orders while supplies last.
A little something special.
A little something special every year. We like to do this to help you keep track. If you don't know, the phases of the moon can be a wild thing if you don't have something to track it with. And we like to help all of our lifters stay on top of those phases of the moon. That's usually, before Juggernaut, that was how I programmed myself, that's how I programmed my training, was based on phases of the moon.
Right. Yeah. As any good lifter should.
Yeah. So I'm holding some right here.
And we also like to give someone a word of encouragement for the for the coming year.
So this year, the free mini dashboard phases of the moon calendar in blue this year. First year we went red. Second year we went yellow. We changed the saying each year. This year it's can't hold anything back this year. Massenomics.
Words to live by.
Yeah. And last year, I think I circled the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic meet day on as many of those as I could. And I'm going to do the same this year, I think. So that's July 20th. Yep, it's on the calendar. That's good.
I was worried
Glad
maybe
they
they
didn't
accidentally
miss
left
that
that
one.
date off this year.
Yeah. So someone wanted to know what the phase of the moon is going to be around that. It looks like, what's it called when you can't even see the moon hardly?
Maybe some type of waning crescent.
Yeah, it's very, very, it's just a small, new moon? Is that the new moon?
That could be believable
Dark-
too.
Dark side of the moon?
Either one of those.
Yeah.
It's the new dark side.
Okay. So you can get with, actually, so here. I guess I left some important details out. December 12th is the drop. So when you order on December 12th or after, December 12th is when the floodgates open on this. So if you order then along with that drop that comes out there, you don't have to order something in that new drop, but if you order something there, we'll start shipping these with every order on December 12th while supplies last. So you should have them by the time January comes around. We don't have a big drop there. There is one new tee. Mm-hmm. It's a comeback of a prior tee in a new color. Color shirt we've never had before, I think, Tom. Is that right?
Color.
A brand new color. A brand new color altogether. We've never had a shirt this color.
Just for this.
Yeah. Brand new color, and I don't want to give away too much on this, and we're not going to, but there might be a couple of classic items that are available only to supporting members. Mm-hmm. They will be available only to supporting members.
So Massenomics.com/join. You get the inside scoop on that.
Yeah, we won't even be advertising what these items are to non-supporting members. So you won't, if you're not a supporting member, you will never know the answer to this these cryptic items that we refer of.
I don't even know how you can go about your day after hearing that, not being in on the club.
Yeah, you will never know. But so get your calendar, a great piece of Massenomics paraphernalia every year. Can't hold anything back this year. If that isn't true, I don't know what the hell is. Can't hold anything back this year. That's like my motto.
It's one of the best models, right up there with "Life's a Garden, dig it."
That's what I live my life on.
A quarter mile at a time.
Let's see. So we got time. We got time for something else here. What do you want to hear? Do you want a sack segment?
I want a sack segment.
I do have a sack segment. We got
nothing puts me in the mood like a sack segment.
Okay, we got a Larry Legend segment, but maybe we could save that for later too. I do have a sack segment here. If I could pull something out of my greasy old sack, if you don't mind, I'll dig down deep. I haven't gotten anything out of the sack in a while, so I would guess it's just itching to come out. Yeah. I guess it'll just be popping right out of here. I barely touched the sack, and everything will be coming right out of it. I heard recently I don't know if it was on Unpaid and Underrated or what it was. People were talking about sack segment. Maybe it was in the Discord, and just how much more vulgar it used to be.
Oh, really?
So I was just trying to.
Was it?
I don't know. I was like extremely vulgar, but maybe I would say just like way more emphasize innuendos.
Yes, yeah. It was a little more descriptive in the beginning. With that part I remember.
So I'm thinking make what's in Tanner's sack segment
PG-13
more perverted again. Yeah. So I've got a little sack item here. It's pretty cool. I burst it out of my sack right now.
Oh.
This is the Barbell Rescue Brush.
Okay.
And look at this packaging. This is the packaging.
Oh, that's the packaging. Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is pretty sweet packaging, first of all.
That.
I don't know. Some people don't care about that probably, but it's like this tube with, just one of these form-fitting caps on it that works like magic.
Yeah, that caught my attention right away.
Yeah, so this packaging is pretty sweet right here on this Barbell Rescue Brush.
So I've heard about these things, but I haven't really looked into them yet. So I'm curious.
Well, you know how I heard about this? I heard about this on the Unpaid and Underrated podcast. And they have a discount code. The code is unpaid. So you can, if anyone's interested in one of these, you can support our little baby sister podcast by buying one of these and unpaid. Although I haven't used it yet, so I can't give my full testimonial. But you can get your own, and they have color options of this, like the inside color option. So here's the actual brush, and this thing is hefty. First of all, like much more substantial than the other barbell brushes we have, but it just pops open like this. I got the red one on the inside. Looks pretty cool, and it's got a little action.
Does it
there.
Actually lock, close?
It
or is it like
doesn't
a button?
really lock.
Okay,
but
you just pull it apart.
You just pull it
Okay.
apart. It's kind of got like a opposite tabs.
Yeah, I could just see those tabs. Right? I didn't know if those locked
Right.
together or not.
No, they don't lock, but I guess you would then have your
Yeah,
hand on it when you're doing this.
really giving it the stroke.
This is a nice I'm not sure what I expected by this, but I haven't, like I said, I haven't used it yet, but just substantially it feels like you got something here.
So are those
This is
just
a very
really,
well-made.
really firm bristles on the inside? Is that what it is?
Yeah, there are nylon. They're not metal bristles, which I know sometimes people like the metal ones because they really dig in there, but also they dig onto your knurling.
Yeah,
of course,
I'm surprised
the nylon
people.
doesn't.
Really, I'm surprised people actually like that.
Well, sometimes at powerlifting meets they have a tendency to use like those metal ones because they really need to.
Right. Yeah.
They really need the
When everyone goes out and takes the chalk block, takes the chalk block to the bar before they go lift.
Right. So I haven't used this yet, but I'm excited to give it a try. Add to the collection of brushes at Massenomics Gym. I would say this: I could buy a lot of. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. You can buy all the nicest brushes you want, but sometimes at a gym that isn't your own personal gym, you can't make everyone use them.
No, you can't. This will look nice in the collection of hair brushes, toothbrushes, toilet brushes, and barbell brushes, right?
Yeah, I think I have four different varieties of brushes.
Oh, do you really?
For one is the classic nylon brush that's got the rectangular handle with the big. It's got a slight curve a slight arc to it.
Yep.
I've got the style that it's almost kind of like this, but it's more rubber. Like it's made to go around, but it doesn't go around 360 like this does. It just kind of goes around like 180 just when you squeeze your hand around it. And then I've got a little, almost does look more like a toothbrush style.
Do you think everyone's biggest worry about using the brushes is that they're afraid they're going to make a mess on the floor?
Well, I think they're afraid that they're going to get the bars too clean.
That's okay. I knew it was one of those two. They were either concerned about making a mess or getting the bars in too good a shape.
They're going to get the bars too nice and prepared for the next person to use them.
Yeah, I could see that.
And so can you fault them for that, really?
No, they're just thinking of the next guys.
Right. I can't really fault them for that. So yeah, check them out at Barbell Rescue. This is not a paid advertisement. I just wanted to try one of these out. So check it out. I'll come back with a follow-up on if I think the Barbell Rescue brush is worth it or not. If this could make the gym members use it, if that had that feature on it, I would buy a bunch of them.
Yeah. Do you think some people think that maybe they're not supposed to mess with the chalk on the bars? That maybe that it's supposed to be there?
Right.
Like actually think that, well, no, maybe I'm gonna wreck the bar if I do something to this. Do you think anyone actually thinks that?
Maybe there might be some people that are pretty noobs off the street that do it, but I usually do a pretty good job of explaining to people that I would like you to clean.
Oh,
off
you
the
do.
bar.
You do explain.
Yeah,
that. Okay.
I do that now.
I didn't know
that's
people.
No, that is part of my. That has become part of my orientation now. Is I mentioned put the weights away, put the barbells away, and clean the bar off. If you get, please go ahead. Feel free to use as much chalk as you want. Just clean the bar off when you're done. Yeah. And I do emphasize that with
don't
people.
have to clean anything if you don't use chalk, right?
That's also fine. Like that is also allowed if they would like to not. But some people use a lot of chalk.
Oh, you know what? Well, it got me thinking. I'm like, God, I couldn't even think of the last time I cleaned a bar off. And then I thought about it. I couldn't even think of the last time I used chalk actually in my life. Granted, I haven't used it a year because I moved a year ago and chalk's not allowed here. But at the one gym I was going to, chalk wasn't allowed.
So it was not. They said you cannot have chalk here.
There were signs up, no chalk allowed. But
why? I've never understood that.
I mean, you kind of get it. Like how stupid a lot of people going to Massenomics gym are above the bottom, or most of them are above the bottom tier, and they use a lot of chalk. So now you get like the dumbest people in there, and it's just I can see how it'd be a chalk night. I mean, some people, the idea of dropping a bar 4 times in a day isn't a weird thing. So to let those same people have chalk is
well, what would be the thing? It would just look dirty in there because there's so much chalk around, or what would be?
I can see it already. Just what I've seen with people, there would be chalk everywhere, and it'd be to squat like 185 pounds, and it'd be like, really, we need chalk for this? Ideally, gym should allow chalk, but I think I can see how it happens for a reason because there's too many dumb people that don't get it.
The secret is you don't have a gym that's like ever perfectly clean. Like you should have if everything has just like a 5% coating of a 5% dusting of chalk on it all the time, you don't really notice a little minor chalk residue if everything like permanent has just like a little bit of chalk on it.
With that same thought process, you almost don't really need chalk when everything has a 5% chalk dusting on it because there's just a certain amount of dryness to it already.
I do not use chalk very often anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do, I don't have to use that much of it.
Well, do you use it on anything besides deadlift?
The only, like 90% of the time, no. The only thing I'll use it on is deadlifts. And the only time I do use it, really with deadlifts or if it's maybe bench press, I could occasionally use it on bench press. But the only reason I use it then is just as a ritual.
That's
like I'm not using it because it's because I even think it's doing shit. I'm doing it because it's part of like getting myself excited for the lift. It's like, okay, now I'm going to use chalk. Like, and I, even in my mind, I think this isn't doing anything for my bench press. My hands are fine. Like the bar hasn't been like wanting to roll out of my hands or slide out or anything like that. But I just do it because it's like, okay, now I'll go get chalk. And that'll be like the last little level of really getting prepared in my head for this.
I totally agree with you. For me, chalk on bench is totally about the ritual. It's this signifying, this signal to your brain that shit's about to get serious here. And that's about the only time it ever comes out on bench is when we're approaching 95% plus territory. Otherwise, It just feels like it's not worth it at all. And then, if you just don't deadlift very much, you don't have to worry about really ever using chalk. So that makes life a lot easier there.
Yeah. Or just use straps or, but most of the time, I actually don't really care how much chalk anyone uses, but a little bit of chalk does go a long way.
God, yes,
like in terms of deadlift, like you don't actually need very much chalk to,
and especially like you don't got to put it in the palm of your hands. You get it more more down towards your fingers. The bottom half of your hands is really where it.
What I kind of like when there's the little pieces are, there's like little pieces left. I like taking one of those little pieces and just doing just a little bit of painting with that.
The
like
big
a
block
Bob
feels like
Rossing
too much.
Yeah. I like the little pieces. The dust I can make work, but a little piece is a nice way to just paint it on just a little bit. Rub it in just a little bit. You're good to go.
Totally agree.
A little bit goes a long, long ways. You know what else goes a long ways? Supporting our supporting members. This is a relatively new segment of the Massenomics podcast. We've probably only been doing it for, 150 weeks, or I'm making that up. We haven't been doing that for that long. We've maybe been doing it for 100 weeks.
Yeah, probably not even 2 years yet.
We probably covered it in last year's recap episode. If you go back, it's just.
Did we find out? Did we have many factual errors last week that we're aware of?
There was something on first. Big Jin said that.
I saw that, her comment about
that we didn't have the right first contest, but we did have the right first contest. We just had the wrong date on it.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Is that the only error we're aware of right now?
I think so. Nobody else has pointed anything out.
Okay.
So people, if I found anything about doing this for 401 episodes, people love to point out an error if we make one. So that must mean we didn't make very many because nobody holds back on that stuff. So,
or people just, once you make a list of 40 items, people quit listening after number 3 on the list.
Yeah, they're like, I guess I'll just take their word for it. So supporting our supporting members is a relatively new segment where we give back to those that support us. So first of all, just thank you to everyone that is a supporting member. We really appreciate it. If you've been on the fence, now would be the perfect time to join up. You get things like our crew access to our Crew Falls meetup. You get early access to our powerlifting meets when we put those on for registration time and Strongman. You get discount codes. You get exclusive merchandise. We send you free gifts at times. And then sometimes you make it onto supporting our supporting members like Big Jonty did this week. He squatted 584, benched 297, deadlifted 550 for a 1431 total. Converted those to pounds for Jonty. He wouldn't natively speak in pounds. But
get the conversion going.
Yeah, that's what we do here. Big Joe set a junior Ohio state records in the total and deadlift and took first place in his class. He did it via a 661 squat.
Nice.
452 bench and a 716 deadlift.
Damn.
For a 476 dots.
What's that total?
I don't know. I didn't write that down.
It's a big total, though.
Yeah, that's 18 something. That's 1820 is my rough math.
In 1820, he took a little trip. That old song?
That's basically what inspired him to lift that much. And then speaking of big lifts, big performances, big brand hit a 617 squat in competition. That was a PR, a 385 bench, and a 722 deadlift. And he had a 1725 total, which was a PR, and a 450 dots. So my God, what's these guys up to here? And then Big Dan with the arm tattoos, he said he opened a gym. It's Premeditated Health and Performance in Lafayette, Indiana.
Wow. Do you think they give tattoos at the gym?
I would hope that's the first reason I would go. I'd be like, where do you get these tattoos like you, Dan?
It's like their
on the
marketing
arms.
angle.
Yeah. That's what I want to know. And then last but not least, Big David. Big David Hunter was the guest this week on Unpaid and Underrated, so go give that a listen and find out more about one of our supporting members, Big David. So thank you, supporting members. Tommy, what do you think about do we got time for an ad or two?
Oh, we got time. We will make time.
Yeah. Should I do one or do you want to
take it away?
All right.
No, you know what? I want to go first.
Okay.
You're
not first, you're last.
I was just seeing if you were paying attention there, Tanner, and you were, so I had to switch it up on you.
You passed the test.
Today's show is brought to you by Texas Power Bars. Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid 70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars to them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. Fast forward to today, and Buddy has revolutionized the bar world. And that, with his newest addition being the 29-millimeter Texas Power Bar. It's strong as a house with the best knurling, and it's maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, world, and international powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit texaspowerbars.com.
And this episode is also brought to you by our fine, upstanding South Dakotan friends over at Build Fast Formula. Build smart, build strong, build fast. BuildFastFormula.com. We're going to be building fast this weekend when we're all trying some Drink Hack before our Crew Falls meetup event. We're going to sample Drink Hack. I have not had it yet, so we'll see how that helps us feel on Sunday. Also here, I got an idea. Maybe on Saturday for the lifting, I'll bring the Vaso Blitz.
Oh, boy.
So everyone can sample some Vaso Blitz that hasn't had it yet.
We're gonna walk into the bar, and they're going to say, these guys are all hopped up on Vaso Blitz and Drink Hack. Look out, everyone.
So we will sample Vaso Blitz. You can sample all of these too, even if you're not coming to Crew Falls. You can sample them. By sample them, I mean you can purchase them. And when you purchase them, use discount code Massenomics at BuildFastFormula.com. That'll save you 10% off your order. You can also sign up for a subscription. That'll save you an additional 10%. You add those up together. It's almost free. Thank you, Build Fast.
All right, ready to get our guest in here?
Yeah, is he ready?
He just came on.
Did you give the boot to the live listeners too? Thank God. I was getting sick of those guys.
There he is.
I understand that for Angelo, but I mean, come on. I'm the good looking one of the group.
Yeah. Well, you really are good looking tonight. Wow, dressed to impress.
Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, I gotta support it when I'm coming on. Thank you guys for having me.
The lift shirt, for anyone that's just audio only listening, Big Steve rocking the original blue lift shirt. Looking sharp as ever.
Yes, sir. Congrats on 400 episodes, gentlemen. That is something to be proud of. That's awesome, and you guys deserve it. Been a staple of the community for a while, and appreciate you all having me on. So,
thank you. We're a staple of the community, whether the community likes it or not. Damn it!
Some guys just don't know when to quit.
Not everyone is Brian. There are some people who do like you.
You're familiar with Brian. That makes me happy.
I followed that very closely. That's been one of my favorite stories in powerlifting recently.
That's just a great testament to how well some negative comments can really help. Just like I don't think they understand how much help they're being at times when they do that. Like we haven't had anything come up as of late that as many people in the community that have messaged how they really are enjoying the Brian thing as what happened with the Brian thing.
Oh yeah, and that's the best way to go about it too. Like, I mean, do you guys know how bad journalism came about? It's the exact same thing. I mean, like if you try and like take shots, you just turn it into a joke, and it makes it so much better. And that's the best way to police it too. No one's going to want to go at you when they know you're just going to get turned into a viral joke about yourself. So
that is the classic formula. Okay, so for anyone listening that's not aware, we've got one of the co-hosts of Two White Lights on, Big Steve DeNovi, also runs, coach of PRS. What's PRS stand for?
Progressive Resistance Systems, which probably no one knows. I ended up becoming PR's Performance because of my Instagram handle. That's what people know me as, so I roll with it.
Okay, and I don't know why I'm saying PRS. In my head, I say PRs also, but I suppose any combination. But say again what it actually the acronym is.
Progressive Resistance Systems.
Okay.
Sounds fancy.
Is it important for people to know that though? Really?
No, not really at all. This is bad. Like when I first started, like I think it's a pretty good name because it's an odd one that I got away with that somehow I now, since I'm putting air quotes, I own, because it's so generic, yet at the same time, like anytime it says PRs and it's coaching related, it's me. But no, I was just kind of like, okay, all these it's RTS, it's TSA, it's TSG. Like I've got to have an acronym. Like that's the only way. That's just what you do. And so I was like, all right, what acronym works? And so Progressive Resistance, that's the foundation of powerlifting. And you got to throw systems at the end of your coaching name or you're not legitimate. So PRs it is.
Yeah, it's the systems that really takes it to another level too.
Yeah.
You got to have a system. Okay, we've got a lot of topics to talk to you about. We'll certainly talk to you about coaching. We'll talk to you about Two White Lights. Coincidentally, Two White Lights, you're over 200 episodes now also, aren't you? I mean, it's been that way for a while, but it's quite a few over 200 by now probably, right?
Yeah, we'd be at 300 if we still actually recorded podcasts, but that's been a little bit more troublesome lately. But yeah, we're over 200, so we've done halfway decent too. We haven't gotten canceled yet.
So has it been more troublesome lately just with schedules between the two of you when you say that? Or?
Yeah, so Angelo, so you guys know Angelo's a teacher, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So for the majority of his time as a teacher, he worked part-time. He's now full-time. And so during the school year, it makes it really, really tough because one, he gets off at like 6, and then two, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Houston, but Houston traffic means 1 mile is 1 hour. And so you guys are lucky. I usually go to bed at 8:30. So him getting home usually at like 8:30 half the time means we don't get to record very often. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a struggle time wise to get as many podcasts in lately.
So what time does he normally train? Like what does his schedule look like for that?
I mean, he usually goes, I think the gym is pretty close to his school. Because he actually just started a high school team. That's been a big thing lately, and they train at that gym in the morning. But he goes straight there afterwards. So he's usually training at night. Like I want to say he's training like 7 to 9ish. That's my guess. I don't have confirmation there, but he's a late trainer.
Yeah.
Do you feel pressure then? Like, well, like you said, you've been unable to record as frequently as you like to. Does that eat at you, or like does it bother you? Do you start to feel like, we really need to get something out there, or like what? Or is it just like, well, that's just what our schedules allow right now?
Probably a little bit of both. I'd like to do more, but at the same time, I have so many other content things I'm putting out that are just not like just content in general. I look at it as like a whole. Like there's Two White Lights, there's my YouTube, there's Powerlifting Now. I have so much stuff going out, at least on my end, that I don't ever feel like I'm lagging behind because there's every single week there's something I have coming out, at least that's kind of keeping things relevant, whether it's the coaching side, the Powerlifting Now side, or Two White Lights. So when there's an emergency thing, we make sure to hop on. But yeah, I would like to be able to get on a little bit more, but I'm completely fine with the fact that if we're doing one every 2 weeks, I can live with that.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the, as you know, we don't talk about lifting all that much around here. Every once in a while we hit on it a little bit, and we're at least always aware of things that are going on. You know, we're not aware of the finer details, but we're aware of the headlines, at least, of what's going on throughout the sport, and especially in drug-tested powerlifting. We're aware of the headlines, but we're not deeply entrenched in everything that's going on. But luckily, we've got you, Steve, to help fill us in. And part of it seems like there's a lot going on right now with the USAPL.
Everything going on, you know.
Yeah, with everything going on with Powerlifting America, USAPL. And I don't even know like where to first narrowly focus in on the question, like what the first question is. But like my thought is like, what is going on?
Yeah, and we are the center of all drama because we end up knowing way too much because everyone wants to come DM us anything they have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a similar drama that's been going on is the fact that we had this split from USAPL getting kicked out, and it really just kind of created this divide. And I would say at first, I think the majority stuck with USAPL because it was what they were familiar with. Frankly, they just had more options. They still to this day are going to have more options. They have 20-something thousand members. I don't know how. I mean, any given weekend, there's 20 meets. There is more options as a whole for the general local average power lifter. But after the split happened, USAPL developed this Pro Series system that had a lot of appeal. And I think a lot of people like the idea of what that could bring. And it really hasn't panned out because at least within USAPL, what we kind of see is the leadership. They can't decide what they want to do. They've got the World Cup, and then they've got the Pro Series, and then they've got the Euro Tour. They can't really decide what they want to do with their federation. And so I think most of the elite level lifters are kind of just like, this really isn't kind of giving me any type of motivation for like, what is this general route of where I'm supposed to go and supposed to like this tiered level of competition where that was the thing. You know what? For all the issues the IPF has, they have a really good system. You qualify for Worlds, you go to Worlds, you compete, and then the trump card has been Sheffield. That really became like the mic drop that more so SBD had than the IPF. That really has been the appealing factor of like, here is this very distinct stepping stone and annual kind of cycle that you can go through in this tiered elite competition that's just really, really appealing. And I can't blame them. I mean, they've just done a really, really good job, and you know exactly what you're getting. You know what you're going to get when you go to Worlds. We know what we're going to get now when you go to Sheffield. It's consistent. So yeah, I think I mean, really, other than a couple situations, pretty much everyone who's at the top level and like could be a world level contender, I think is pretty much making that switch. The only thing holding people back is still Article 14, which are how
I've heard you reference it before, but I don't really know.
I have no idea what this is. So now you really got my attention.
Got it. Well, this can be 45 minutes straight of me ranting because Article 14 is it's legitimately the worst rule in all of powerlifting. Basically,
so this is a Powerlifting America rule.
It is an IPF rule.
Is this the bench rule or is this different?
No, the bench rule. This is worse than the bench rule, in my opinion.
Oh, it gets worse. Okay.
So it's almost hard to explain because it's so vague. Because they make it the rule is incredibly vague because then they can apply it however they deem fit. But basically, is you cannot, as a coach, an athlete, really even as a volunteer and a ref, participate in any non-WADA sanctioned event. That's the rule.
Yep.
A bowling league is a non-WADA sanctioned event. I don't know if you guys saw my ranting. I held a seminar last year that was deemed a non-WADA sanctioned event, and Jesus Oliveras was contacted by the IPF saying you cannot attend this event and participate in the tandem deadlift or you'll receive a suspension.
So
I as a coach cannot currently coach in IPF affiliated events because I coach also in USAPL, WRPF, or USPA. I am suspended. I can't coach at Sheffield. That's a whole weird situation as well of the things that I was told that I would need to do if I wanted to coach at Sheffield. But it is just an absolutely horrible rule on all rounds. The coach one is the one that makes no sense.
Yeah.
But what it's very oddly applied to because there are a lot of people. There's probably hundreds, if not thousands of people who break the Article 14 rule.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But they don't suspend them.
So, but what are they?
It is.
Do they have actual language or around what classifies as a non-WADA event though?
Nope.
That's purely what
Nope.
it is. Just, I mean, you could make the argument that going to work is a non-WADA event. You know, it's
Right.
Correct. And this is not a WADA-based rule. I actually have a screenshot of an email from someone who emailed USADA saying, "Is this an actual WADA-based rule?" And they said, "No, this has nothing. WADA does not ban you from competing in other events. Like that's not our rule, but it is under jurisdiction. If one of our affiliates wants to make this rule, they could, but it actually is illegal based off of EU and US law." Like pretty just blatantly illegal.
I mean, it's such just like a blanket, vague rule. Because okay, so I guess with that, is there any other sports that even have a rule that's even similar to this in any way?
So in EU law, I think it was 2021, figure skating had a rule like this. And there was a lawsuit somewhere in the European Union, and the figure skating lost. They were not allowed. Everything was dropped. Not only the coaching, but the athlete, every aspect of it was dropped because it was not allowed. Because it's the same thing. Like you think about, okay, we're trying to be WADA compliant as the IPF because we want to get the Olympics. It doesn't, anyone in the US who's not brain dead can realize, well, NBA players don't only compete in the Olympics, they also compete in the NBA. Like they're not drug tested by WADA.
And also
in the NBA.
lots of like pro players then go help out on their kids' youth league football team and stuff like that, you know, and they're not getting banned from the NFL for that type of stuff.
Wouldn't it though? What I don't understand is I see how it's directly affecting you. Obviously with you coaching, you coach a lot of lifters, a lot of drug tested power lifters. A lot of those are going to be in USAPL, but there'd certainly be high likelihood of some of them competing in Powerlifting America. And people like you, I'm just thinking others like, I don't know, the strength athlete, Mike Tashir. I could continue to list a bunch. Wouldn't they also have that same crossover a lot of the time? Flex, Joey Flex, like his group, wouldn't they be coaching USAPL and Powerlifting America?
So some coaches just haven't made the decision. Joey Flex was suspended. And he's made the decision. I've seen him multiple times in crowds this year rather than coaching to not coach at USAPL meets anymore so that he could serve his 12-month suspension and be able to coach in the IPF again.
Okay. What does a suspension actually mean? Like, what does that entail actually?
So in their definition, it's called being ineligible. I'm going to call it a suspension because let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
So once it's not coaching in USAPL that gets you suspended. It's once you're under the jurisdiction of the IPF in some way, you then can no longer then go back to the USAPL. So my suspension was incurred because last February, a week before Powerlifting America Nationals, I finally bought my membership. I purposely waited so that I wasn't under their jurisdiction until the last second. I then coached Natalie Richards and Waskar Carpio at Powerlifting America Nationals. Then the week after, I then coached at the Arnold, and then that's when my suspension started because I was under the jurisdiction. I was a Powerlifting America member, so therefore now when I go coach at a USAPL event, I am in violation of Article 14, and I was deemed suspended. Interesting thing, though, there is no formal written suspension. There's no list. You're just supposed to know.
And also, say like what Joey's doing, for example. Like coaching, you know, he doesn't have a coach pass. He's not in the warm-up room physically coaching, but if he's at the event, obviously, I mean, like he can provide his insight to someone that I just think it's a really odd line to be drawn of like, where are these lines drawn?
But I mean, do they not allow you into events, or do they just not allow you to be back behind the...
You just can't, you cannot be back coaching. You can be a spectator. And they actually made a new rule due to Joey, because Joey would have like a walkie-talkie or some type of like communication
right.
device.
That's what I'm starting to think. Yeah.
They've now banned that too.
So like you can't communicate with athletes while they're warming up, essentially, is what they're trying to do.
I believe he did it at IPF Worlds because he was not allowed to coach at IPF Worlds, and they no longer allow communication devices between handlers in the back room and coaches as spectators.
How about a cell phone? It's like, then I'm like, what
So
like it just starts to be ridiculous, kind of. I think
Well, okay. So there's so many levels of this that are comical. Okay, couple quick ones. Who actually enforces this though? Who's on the lookout? Who's handing out these fines essentially?
So in sense, there is no policing of it. It is fully tattletaling.
So someone's
even better.
reporting you.
Even better incentive for everyone else to try and go after everyone else. Yeah.
The actual, in the grand scheme of international competition, the main reason it gets enforced is other countries tattletaling on other countries as a competitive advantage to get their people suspended. That's the number one way. The other way is like myself. One, I'm very open about it. And then two, since I have a decent following on social media, you can see that I'm going to these meets. You can see me on the live streams. It's not being hidden in any way. So it just is kind of known. A lot of coaches who are not as known can kind of do it and never get caught because no one's really caring or watching. So yeah, it's legitimate. You guys are listening. It's legitimately almost hard to describe this and like comprehend because it's just the dumbest feasible rule you can imagine. Like it makes no sense. And the thought process is for the integrity of drug testing.
Well,
because they don't want you going outside of WADA jurisdiction because they are too lazy to spend the money, in my opinion. Not my opinion. This is actually kind of the truth. The easy thing that you do is they remain like an athlete or a coach. If you want to do it with the coach, they can go do other things, but they remain within an OMT testing pool. And so you can continue to out of meet test them while they go do other things. Well, that costs money. That costs a couple $1,000s a drug test. Yeah, so what's the easier way to do it? Just not allow it in general.
Yeah. Oh man. I feel like to me, that's always the fatal flaw of tested powerlifting is that it's like you can't, they just get so in their own head, like you can't be tested enough. It's like when politicians like frame everything as like, we're doing it to save the kids. And like tested powerlifting have this, well, we're doing it to make sure no one's cheating when they're also overlooking like major flaws in the system that do exist that would potentially stop cheating. But okay. So how long until this is challenged in a court of law in some way? Like that's got to happen, right?
We'll see. I've heard some people looking into it, but here's the issue is, I mean, that costs money.
Right.
That costs a lot of money to take a large scale organization to court and a lot of time too. So it's kind of who's going to do it. Like
that is the problem again, is that there's just so little money in powerlifting compared to even something like figure skating where there probably is a lot of money in it and people can do that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Like for myself, like it kind of hurts me, I guess. Like it doesn't it hurts me in the sense that I would like at Sheffield. I would love to coach Natalie at Sheffield, but I can't. That sucks. But it's not hurting me financially necessarily. Like I'm not suffering because of it. So I while I would love the rule to go away and I would love to sue them, I also don't want to spend that amount of time and that amount of money and take away from other things. Like it's just financially, that's not a risk I want to take. That's not a time commitment I want to take because that's going to be time away from work and or my wife. And like, it's one of those things that they just kind of know someone's not going to do it. So they're just going to keep enforcing it until someone finally pulls the trigger or I don't know.
Wow.
What do you think? So we talked about the sort of an exodus of the top level tested powerlifters from USAPL to Powerlifting America, IPF. Will there be any incentive for mid-tier lifters to try and make that switch? Will they make that switch? Does Powerlifting America want them to switch? Like, what's the dynamic there with, like, not the top level guys, but say the next tier, or the next 2 tiers down, or you could go all the way to the bottom? Like, what is the outlook of that?
I would even say, if you're not, let's say, top 10 in your weight class, is there any incentive to be a part of Powerlifting America even?
So, I mean, Powerlifting America would love to have them. I'm sure they're not going to turn them down. Yeah. I think still it would probably be a better option to stay USAPL. I know Powerlifting America is trying to look for avenues of how they can add meets. Like, I mean, like for the USAPL, they have the Arnold. Like that's my favorite meet every year. That is such a cool meet to go to. Right now, Powerlifting America, they have the NAPF championships. I don't even know if you guys know what that is, or do you even know what NAPF is? So Powerlifting America is the U.S. affiliate. NAPF is North American Powerlifting Federation. That's all of our region. That's Canada, Mexico, all the region. So they have NAPF meets that you can go to. they're not really that cool. No one really likes them that much. They do them if they have to. So yeah, I really think right now, like if you're kind of if you're not really in that like top 5 bubble where you feel like you could make a running in the next 1, 2, 3 years at possibly getting a world's team spot. I mean, I have a lot of lifters who are kind of in that spot, and they're going to stay USAPL because it just kind of makes more sense, because USAPL still is by far the bigger organization. They have a lot more opportunities. I mean, the Arnold finals is going to have a $20,000 payout for first place. And now with everyone leaving, that's pretty nicely open to someone who thought they would probably never even win that. Things like that. So yeah, I mean, I still think USAPL is going to remain very, very relevant. I do not think that's going away. The only thing I can see them kind of going towards is kind of becoming the new USPA drug tested, because USPA drug tested had a ton of members. They were great. They just weren't super competitive, although they had 15,000 something members competing on an annual basis. It could go that direction, but yeah, kind of like you alluded to. I mean, I think a lot of people, at least for now, in that like next tier will stay, because why go over and lose to Ashton by 100 kilos? Or like I have my lifter, Natalie Richards. The closest person to her in America is like 50 kilos behind. Like what? Like, is it fun just to go lose to her and not really have a competition afterwards to compete at?
Do you know in America how many Powerlifting America meets take place in a year?
I do not. I know they have. Because I literally just had a phone call with the executive committee member recently. They have about 3,000 members. So I don't know how many meets, but about 3,000 members, versus USAPL has about 25,000. And then like USPA, I think has like 15 to 20, albeit that was their numbers from last year. I have no idea what happened this year with the craziness of what happened on the USPA side and the cancellation and split there.
Right.
So,
but I mean, do you know,
I don't know how many,
like I've never even, and not that I've looked that hard into it, but I don't even know. I mean, in our part of the country, if a Powerlifting America affiliate or meet even exists, like I don't know if you're in the Dakotas, if you could get to one within 8 hours of you.
Probably not, because they're very centralized. Because what happened in the split is there are certain meet directors who kind of do it full time. Like you have some meet directors who they host 1-2 meets a year, and then you have some meet directors who host meets every single month. They kind of got territories. So like Florida, Pennsylvania, and then like Nevada are 3 of the territories where they kind of got the full-time meet directors that switched over to them. There's a couple more too, but that was kind of more what happened. Like if you look at Powerlifting America, there's definitely like certain states that are very dominant and have the vast majority of the meets right now.
Okay, so there if you are to look at the map of the country, there would be entire like blackout zones where affiliates meets just don't exist at all.
Yeah, like okay. I'm in Missouri. There's never been a Powerlifting America meet in Missouri that doesn't exist.
Okay.
So
when is USAPL Raw Nationals? What month is that?
September.
So when September comes around this next time, what will it mean to win USAPL Raw Nationals now then? Because like historically that's a big deal. Is it, I'm not saying there's a ton of lifters in the federation, so obviously it's not a big deal, but it's definitely not the same, right? Like it's not.
No, you can just straight say it. It doesn't mean the same thing. It won't. It really won't, and that's unfortunate. It's something that pains me. I've oddly never had. I've had 2 IPF world champions. I've never coached a USAPL national champion. I've had multiple silver medalists, multiple bronze medals. I do not have a national champion. It pains me that during like this era of like high level competition in USAPL, I can never say I had a national champion, because starting this year, it's just never going to be the same, because pretty much every person that's going to win nationals for USAPL is not going to be able to win Powerlifting America nationals. It's just like we always considered USPA drug tested nationals there. If you won that, it doesn't mean you're a national champion. You're just second tier to whoever won USAPL nationals. Now it's going to be USAPL nationals, the second tier to whoever won Powerlifting America nationals. And so it will still be competitive, because frankly, just the US is so deep in talent, and we have a lot of people every single year that just come out of nowhere and are just ridiculously strong. But yeah, it unfortunately just won't mean the same anymore.
And I know neither of the organizations would want to look at it like this, but it'd be simpler if probably everyone could embrace it. But really, and pro is a weird word because, you know, it insinuates being compensated financially. And I know that's not exactly explicitly what's going on, but really it's just going to be like the pro division and everyone else, just like a lot of sports are, where it's like, nope, this is where you go if you are the best in the world. You are in this. Everyone else, which is going to be 95% of the population doing
honestly,
this, or
99% of the population.
99, you're in this one.
Yep.
But
and that actually works great. That was
Yeah.
oddly, that was actually something USAPL proposed before the split and got turned down by the IPF because the IPF was not going to allow it within the same organization. They were going to require two different organizations to do that. But yeah, I don't disagree. Like Powerlifting America, if all of a sudden USAPL ceased to exist, Powerlifting America could not handle it. They do not have the current, nor do I expect them to. It's not like to their fault. Like you can't grow from 3,000 to 25,000 overnight. They don't have the infrastructure to handle it. And like I was at Powerlifting America Nationals last year. It was a great meet. But if all of a sudden they had 600 lifters, it would not have been a great meet. Like they couldn't have done it. Like they functioned really well being this kind of just this distinct route to go to an international level. And then basically everyone else filtered themselves within USAPL. It works out well that way.
what do you think untested powerlifting? Let me know if you can think of it in your opinion. What does untested powerlifting do better than tested powerlifting? What have they gotten more right?
I won't like my answer, but I don't think they've really anything.
Well, that's fine. That's why that's the question, because I didn't know if you would have an obvious answer for that or not. If there's anything that comes to your mind that you think.
I'm not anti-untested powerlifting, but one, they tend to do everything wrong. They constantly fight each other. And the biggest thing right now that I worry the future of untested powerlifting is there's now more money on tested. That used to be the thing. That was the big thing forever, is there was no money on the tested side. So if you wanted to make money and you wanted to do these big money meets, you had to go untested. That's no longer the case in any way, shape, or form. Like by far, tested powerlifting has more money involved, not only for payouts for meets, but also sponsorships. Like SBD and what they pay their athletes for winning worlds is more than anything that any untested meet pays John Hack to win right now.
I mean, it's like basically everything we're saying is because of SBD, isn't it? Like, I mean,
yeah, no, SBD.
It's just SBD's like to specifically say it is SBD right now, right? Like,
I guess at the Arnold maybe Rogue a little bit too, but
you're right, a little bit, yeah, right.
So that I think that's a good. I'm going to get back to untested because I've got one little thing I want to point out with untested, but I think it's a good thing that it's SBD because the IPF cares about getting the Olympics. That's their goal. The USAPL cares about getting back at the IPF right now. That's kind of their goal. Neither of them has the goal of truly the lifters in mind and what can we do to make this sport mainstream? Well, that's SBD's goal. SBD's goal is how can we actually make this a multi-million dollar sport and get coverage to it? And they actually, I think, have the vision aligned with what the lifters want, and it works out perfect that way. And I think it's a really good happy medium to have them kind of controlling that avenue and being that way to elevate powerlifting how they are. So I love it in that sense. I tell people now, I'm not team USAPL, I'm not team IPF, I'm team SBD. Like whatever they're going to do, I'm on board with it.
So do they have plans to do more than one Sheffield type event a year though? Because I would also say that's a huge problem, is that to have one major like sleek produced meet a year also isn't enough to get people interested either though, is it?
So I don't know how much I'm to say because I do know a little bit. I don't think they're going to do another Sheffield because you can't have multiple big meets. Like powerlifters aren't going to compete 5 times a year. Like it works really nicely to have 2 to 3 meets a year, and that's always been about the most you want to do. Back before the split, it was you did nationals, you did worlds, you did the Arnold. Now it's you do nationals, worlds, and if you get to Sheffield, you do Sheffield. So 2 to 3 meets a year. I mentioned Powerlifting America could have more options for meets for higher level lifters if they don't make it to worlds. That's where I kind of know of SBD trying to get more involved there, which they just did. They just helped out a lot with that meet down in Texas that you guys might have saw that a bunch of people did for a qualifier meet with Ashton and Bob and a bunch of others. They sponsored that. They did the payouts there. I know that's something they're looking to expand there. So
okay, so
yes.
Potentially that almost be like a consolation type bracket for the people. Okay, I could see that.
So But here I'm going back to the untested.
Yes,
this is my little opinion here, but I think it's a pretty true opinion. The best untested lifters in the world were prior the best tested lifters, because frankly, the best genetic talent pool in the world currently lies in the tested division. That's just, I mean, like if you put Perk and Ashton and those people on steroids, they're going over just like John Hack and absolutely destroying things on the untested side. Well, what's the incentive now for Perk or Ashton to go over? Like I said, there's not more money. There's not more opportunities. There's not better meets now that we have Sheffield throwing the trump card on everyone. I don't know if we'll get another John Hack. I don't know if it'll happen, because I don't think that elite level of genetic talent is going to have any interest in hopping on steroids anymore, since the opportunities are less. It's mainly going to be that kind of like slightly lower tier where they're going to be a fantastic untested lifter, but we're not going to have the John Hacks anymore. I think that's a big issue that lies ahead for untested, is you're not going to see that elite genetic talent pool hop on performance enhancing drugs and see these just insane humans do things. I mean, it's this is a kind of a contested thing where I know some of the untested lifters don't love that this has been kind of thrown in their face. But Jesus Olivares breaking the all-time world record in a division that should be dominated by untested lifters was kind of a bit of a slap in the face, that the strongest human being on this planet now is natural.
Yeah. Okay. So you have a couple things here. I've actually never thought about it from that angle before. I do think that is really interesting. I mean, there's no surprise that when you do look that the numbers that the the numbers that the tested guys have right now, like 10 years ago, you know, only the craziest guys on all the steroids, like that seemed like that was the only way to get there. Now you have just, this guy's 20 years old and he hasn't done any drugs, and now he has like a 2,000 pound total. Like, where's that coming from? So that makes that start to look a little more, like, yeah, you put it good there. Like, what's the point of going there? But do you think though, like, is there ever a guy that's just wired different, that, okay, he is that top genetic talent, and he goes, you know what? I really do want to see how far I can take that. You don't think that'll come around again?
It could, but like, let's use, I'm going to go back to John Hack, because he's the man. He's the guy that did that and is just destroying every record. He did it at the time because at that time, that was where he said it. That's where I get to go to the big meets and actually start making more money. Like, that's how I can go make money.
But a different question here though. Also though, it's the same thing with like pro athletes. Yeah, they make a certain money from competing, but they also make a certain amount of money from their persona offline and everything. Do you think John Hack's legend of who he is changes if he doesn't go on drugs? Like, does he have potentially these other revenue streams from other things if he doesn't do the drug route?
I do agree with that, because I don't think he does to an extent. We don't see the men on the tested side quite getting the same social media following. The women do. Like, you got the Jessica Bittners, the Leah Beauvoir. Honestly, the women on tested tend to get more social media traction, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. The men, though, I think the crossover happens to the general gym bro. They like seeing, even because I think the general gym bro doesn't know that a lot of the tested lifters are actually setting records right now. They just see the fact that there's these big jack dudes deadlifting 1,000 pounds. Well,
yeah, and I think
they know they're on steroids, and the fact that they're on steroids makes it even like cooler, kind of, because they're like, they don't. Yeah, so I do agree with that. I actually do think, at least on the untested side, on the men's side, there's an aspect where there's a persona from the general public as well as a physique aspect.
That's especially,
I do.
Especially once you get over like that 220 pound mark, the physique game is totally different for those guys. You know,
because like Ashton jacked, but he's not lean anymore. Like, you see Ashton with the shirt off, he's not lean. Bob isn't necessarily 6-pack shredded. You get a 242 on the untested side. Dude shredded the bones and has dick veins on his abs. So yes, I do agree there. I think that could, if someone is long-term thinking enough that they see like the marketing aspect and the potential revenue from sponsors and not just the meat opportunities, I do agree there.
But that's also incredibly hard to do too, though. Like, that's a lot of stuff has to go perfect for that to play out.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but that's just like I said, I don't dislike untested lifting. If everyone just hopped on steroids and we had the craziest thing ever, I'd watch it. It'd be cool. I still think the coolest meet ever to put on television would be a deadlift only meet with like Griggs and Jamal and Browner, all the best, just deadlift only and just 1,000-pound deadlifts, lift after lift after lift of the untested guys. It's just that I just don't know if we're going to see the same crossover in the future, because in the era before, all the people you looked up to were untested. We had the Stan Efferdings, the Dan Greens. They were the ones really kind of leading the charge on the raw side. We saw all the money on that side, and it's really taken a big shift. So
in the tested side of powerlifting, amongst the elite lifters, the elite male lifters, I'm really not asking about anyone in particular, not asking you to point out anyone in particular, but you being in those conversations in this tight-knit community, the community within a community, what is the perception? Is it possible that anyone is cheating, that they're skirting the system, that there are any non-natural but test-passing powerlifters in tested powerlifting right now in the top level of USAPL or more relevant Powerlifting America IPF?
If we're saying US, no, I don't believe so. I think every single
and I really do mean US. Like I don't know.
Well, we already know IPF has its own problems.
Right.
Well, this goes way back 5-6 years ago. Chad Wesley Smith and Max Ada did a podcast on steroids, and they said it's not based off of what numbers someone hits, it's what country are they from. And I very much believe that. I think that's the best way to determine if someone's awesome. No, I fully believe that all of the best U.S. lifters are natural. Yeah. I have very little doubt about that. Ashton is a good example because I'm good friends with Ashton, and it's fun talking to him. Ashton is very ignorant to the fact that not everyone is like him. Right. Like when I've talked to him and I've kind of said like, I suck at lifting, blah, 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 blah. He's like, dude, oh yeah, you just got to lift more.
You just do more. Put more on and do that. And then put more on and do that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not how it works for me, man. That's just like, I get that like every single time you just added more weight, you just got stronger, and then you ate more and you got stronger. Yeah, that doesn't work for me. I tried it for 15 years. I still don't look, well, I really don't look like I lift now because I don't try to, but no, I very firmly believe all of the top people are, and I think we've seen some people almost get to the top and then they get caught before. The number one that got close, I don't know if you guys remember him, Ogden Mickelbust. Do you remember that name?
I don't think so.
No, I feel like that's a name I would remember if I.
This is 2017 or 2018. He was coached by a TSA strength athlete coach, not Bryce. He was coached by Chris Aiden when he was with him. Broke Bryce's American record total, and that meet he tested positive.
So I mean, were they going head to head in that meet? Like, was it a?
No, it was just a local.
Oh,
meet.
A local. Okay.
So now I will say, I mean, the USAPL had the split because of apparently their terrible drug testing, but I frankly think the USAPL's drug testing is great. I do know Powerlifting America, if you don't know, they don't drug test at a local level right now, in any way, shape, or form. They have a plan to do that, but that's the main reason why I think it's worked well, because almost everyone, at least up until now, has tended to get caught before they get to that point. I think it's been very hard to get to that point and not get caught, because versus if USAPL disappears and everyone's Powerlifting America and the current drug testing stays the same, where they only drug test at nationals, maybe some people kind of wiggle through, but it just hasn't happened. I think as the system that US has had in place has been a really good one, and I don't think many people have gotten very far. I mean, Jamal Browner got to nationals before he got popped. And that was before he was really even like a top 5 level lifter. I think most people get caught before they really kind of get going and get to that level.
Shifting gears a little bit here, in your opinion, is there any correlation between a powerlifting coach's personal strength and their effectiveness at coaching other lifters? Is there any correlation of that?
Yes. Which is might sound odd because I'm not strong. But
no,
you said
that's
any.
not. That's not what I'm getting at. But I think it's a fair question because I think a lot of people think like that's like, say you're new into powerlifting and you want to coach, you might search out the strongest person that also says they're coaching, and I think we know a lot of times that might not be the advice you would give someone.
Yep.
So that's why I ask, like, is there any correlation?
Yes, there is a point to that. Like, there is a correlation. So there are hundreds. We actually just did a podcast on this for Powerlifting Now. Hundreds of tools in a coach's toolbox that makes them a good coach. The more tools you have, the better. One of the tools is being very strong yourself and having that experience. But that is one of 500 tools. And are you going to weight that tool as the only tool you care about? I would hope not. Is there any correlation that could be beneficial that someone has had that experience? I think so. Like, I mean, that's the tool I don't have. I think that's valid. If you want to say that, if someone says they really value that as a tool, I don't have that tool. But I have 499 other tools that I think I'm pretty good at that a lot of people who are really strong and just kind of dumb don't have. So you can choose that one tool over the 499 others, or you can choose the 499 others and say, if they're not super strong, that's all right. Now, I would say to an extent, if a coach has never tried, like they were just kind of always just never really tried to be strong and they had terrible work ethic, I think that's a little bit more of an issue of like not having that tool of like actually putting yourself through the ability of trying to maximize your potential and doing this for years on end and getting that experience, going through setbacks, getting injured, having to come back and PR your total act, all these little things. But yes, if there is a correlation, that is a tool in your toolbox to have that experience, to be in those situations at high level meets, to lift maximal weights and know what it is. But that's just one of many tools. And so I would never say it doesn't matter, but it matters a very, very small amount in the grand scheme of things. I mean, frankly, every single lifter I coach is stronger than me. And I don't think any of them are saying that they're held back because I'm weaker. So.
Yeah, that's fair. That's kind of the input I was curious that we might get on that. What Springfield are the Simpsons from?
Illinois, not mine.
Okay,
unfortunately.
Is that a fact?
That they're Springfield, Illinois. I'm pretty sure it is. I think that's a fact that they're Springfield, Illinois. Okay. I might be wrong.
Or do they try to keep it ambiguous?
I think it's ambiguous. I think it really is ambiguous. Like
okay, we can claim it then.
Okay.
My Springfield's known for Bass Pro. We're the headquarters of Bass Pro Shop.
Don't get ahead of us. We got more on that to come.
Okay.
Slow it down.
What I don't even know what this question is, but I just think Tommy and I talked about it. It's odd to us that there's like little scandals within say the tested powerlifting side that seem really trivial, like about.
I also got to say, before Tanner even gets into whatever question you might have here, what's also funny to me, because you got your finger on the pulse, you know what's going on. I'm on Instagram, and typically what I see is like subpar powerlifting memes or something have a meme that seems very specific to a specific event. And I'm like, it feels like there's a story here I don't understand. And then I'll go read in the comments. And half the time I read the comments, I think to myself, that can't be real because that sounds insane. But also there's enough people saying it that maybe it is true. So that's just my perspective on scandals from a distance. But yeah, Tanner, go ahead.
Well, yeah. And this is another one of those things. I don't even know what the question is here. More of a comment and see if you have any feedback on it. Seems like why is it a thing like there was a thing about following, like I think it was the Powerlifting America account, like they were and weren't following people and that sort of thing. I'm just like, why is that a thing? Like who cares about that? Like nobody should care about that.
So I don't disagree, but we see it in professional sports too. If a pro athlete unfollows another athlete on their team, boom, within 2 hours, someone notices, and we're going to see some type of article somewhere that some quarterback unfollowed their wide receiver. It's storylines. I mean, frankly, powerlifting is boring. And while drama can be annoying. It also keeps things interesting. But yeah, I mean, you shouldn't care, but it's also that joy fitness girl, whatever. I don't know. That was a whole weird thing. But yes, it is so childish at times, but sometimes we're so, as a culture, we're addicted to it.
Right.
It can be really funny. So yeah, I get wrapped on it. I've tried lately to get away from it more, which has helped, not recording Two White Lights as much and ranting about so many random things. That's actually a benefit of not recording as much, as I don't have to care about all these silly things. But at the same time, some of them were kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say my 36-year-old self isn't going to act like I'm in high school sometimes and laugh at some drama. It gets funny sometimes.
Is Angelo banned from Corrupted Strength?
He's not banned.
Okay.
No, he was never. Okay. He was never banned necessarily. It was just kind of outcasted for whatever reason that happened. I still don't really know fully why. I was kind of in that bubble too. I got some unfollows in that situation. I don't know. That was a whole weird situation. I held a seminar there, and then like a month later, I was getting some unfollows.
Interesting.
I was going to make this game that I didn't actually follow through with, so I'll just tell everyone what it was going to be and how it would have been fun and funny, and everyone can just imagine what it would have been. But it was just going to be a little quiz for you, and it would be, who has more, Two White Lights or Massenomics? And then I was going to have about 4 or 5 topics, and it was just a trap where the answer would be making Massenomics look better in every case. And I did not do that, so everyone will just have to use their imagination of what it could have been like.
The crew versus the boys, or whatever you want to call it, Two White Lights crew. Two White Lights is very much the drama podcast, and Massenomics is like, does lifting even exist? We're just going to talk about things that don't even exist. Like, I get it. Like, you need a little bit of both in your life. You need you guys' sanity, and then you need Two White Lights' as drama.
It is funny though, because we do say we don't talk about lifting, but I do also think, well, Tanner and I talk about lifting more than 90% of the population. And then we start talking to you, and I realize, like, oh no, we don't talk about lifting.
Right. There's levels of there's certainly levels of that. Okay, so
I have a question for you guys. Like, how much are you guys like sports fans? Like football, basketball, baseball? Like, are you like diehard sports fans, or just kind of like generalized sports fans?
Tanner. Well, I'll say for me first. Growing up, I like to play sports. I hated watching sports. I almost never watched sports growing up. That's something that probably for me in my late 20s, I've really developed. I've really become way more of a fan of watching sports in general, football specifically. I didn't watch a ton of it growing up, and now I really do actually enjoy watching football.
Yeah, see, I grew up playing every sport, and like all I would watch is sports. All I would watch is Sports Center, and that's all I would do. And then, when I was in my 20s, I was addicted to fantasy football. I'm not in a negative way, but like I just loved fantasy football. I couldn't stop I couldn't do enough fantasy football leagues. And I've always loved watching basketball and football. I mean, baseball, I think, is horrifically boring. I've been on record on that many times. I love I'll go to a lot of in-person MLB games because that's just an experience that I think is awesome. But like watching it on TV, I'm not into it. But the older I get, the less I like following professional sports, and I don't know why that is. I couldn't really say, but I do still love the in-person experience, but I don't follow like ESPN and stuff like that. Like I used to know, every bench player of half the teams in the NBA and the NFL, and I just don't anymore. But I like in-person events. Now I'm more of just like on the sidelines. I know the main storylines. I know what's going on, and I know who's relevant. I know if Joe Burrow does something exciting, I hear about that. But like, I don't really follow it very much anymore.
And I don't follow
compared to the average person. I follow it a lot, probably still, but like I don't follow it closely, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't follow like the ESPN, which like essentially the TMZ coverage of sports. Like I don't keep up with that at all. But I am at the point now where if I flip through the channels and I see a game that's close, I'm like, I want to watch this. Like this is interesting and entertaining to me now, where I used to never have that before.
I asked that because your answers are spot on with what I'd assume with kind of how our personalities have shaped how we cover powerlifting. Because me and Angelo are obsessed with the TMZ style of watching sports.
Right.
Like every little detail of every little thing we know. And like within 5 minutes of something with the Chicago Bears being announced about an assistant coach being fired because they slept with a coworker, we're DMing each other. Like we're just obsessed with every single aspect of sports, versus I kind of would assume you guys were more of like, we really enjoy playing it and watching it, but like we don't like follow every little detail religiously. We like more the act of it, versus like, if I stopped powerlifting and coaching altogether, I probably would still actually follow this. Like I just like this. Like I'm kind of obsessed with following the intricacies of the sport, and so that I can see how that like our sports fandom has shaped how we also cover powerlifting.
I think that's probably spot on.
I think so
that
too.
Makes a lot of sense. That's an interesting take. It's more fun when we just do though, where we just make fun of each other in joking ways, though, than actually than actually breaking down the differences and why it is the way the subtleties.
Well, that's also where we can still relate on the sports aspect, because we all have enough of a sports background to understand how to make fun of each other appropriately, because that's what we're supposed to do as male sports fans. We speak in making fun of each other, and if you don't make fun of each other, that means you don't like.
That you don't like them. Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Term of endearment.
That's exactly right. So we do have this little game we like to play. We play it with every guest that we have on the podcast. This one I actually did put together, unlike the
it's not just a hypothetical game.
Unlike the hypothetical game I didn't pursue. But this is overrated, underrated. We've got a special Big Steve set of topics handpicked for you. You can elaborate as much or as little on each one if you'd like to. But you just have to remember that you cannot ride the line. You have to definitively decide if each one is overrated or underrated. So if you're ready, we'll jump in.
Let's do it.
Overrated or underrated, getting 3 white lights?
Underrated. While I would love to say overrated and support 2 white lights. No, like I don't think people a lot of times are okay with the fact that like they're just going to get 2 white lights and I still got to lift. No, I mean, as a coach, I don't want to leave that up to question, because anytime you rely on 2 white light lifts and that becomes a common occurrence, you're flirting with disaster, because it just takes one of those 2 other refs. So it's underrated to get 3 white lights to just lift to a standard that's just undeniable. Like that's what you should be aiming for. And it's underrated to be a lifter that consistently gets 3 white lights on every single lift.
That's fair. Overrated or underrated, Bass Pro Shops, as hinted at earlier?
Underrated, because I don't think people know do you know who Johnny Morris is? The founder of Bass Pro?
No.
That dude is a G. Like, if in Springfield, Springfield is underrated. Like, we have the largest, like, decked out indoor aquarium in all of the US, and Johnny Morris built it. It's unreal. He has like 7 PGA like caliber golf courses, one designed by Tiger Woods with like 30 minutes of me. And he built an entire resort down in Branson. Like, it's insane. Johnny Morris is nuts. And then from what I know that he just generally does, he's just an awesome dude. So yeah, Bass Pro underrated. That place is, I'm not as much of an outdoorsman as I used to. Actually, before powerlifting, fishing was my thing. I'm kind of saving that, because with where I live, it's one of the bass fishing capitals of the world. That's eventually something I want to get back into. But yeah, Bass Pro Shops underrated. That is a great place.
Do you have a Bass Pro Shops hat?
I do not. That's something I can't get into.
It'd make you more relatable to the younger generation if you had one.
That's like a thing, but like in Springfield, that's just normal.
Suppose, it's just right. Like, it's just the uniform.
That's just the uniform you wear here.
Am I completely wrong? Are Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's together now? Is that like?
I think they own Cabela's, don't they?
Bass Pro bought Cabela's. Yes.
And I remember around here, because Cabela's is pretty big around here. When that happened, thinking Cabela's is way too big to be bought by Bass Pro Shops. Like, I didn't understand that Bass Pro Shops was as big as they are.
Oh yeah, Johnny Morris is. I don't know his net worth, but it's got to be a lot. That dude is rolling.
Yeah, he could put up some SBD style prize money in powerlifting. Overrated or underrated, Levi jeans?
Underrated, and you have no idea like, did you ask this for a reason? Do you have any
Yeah,
insight
no,
here?
I asked it for a specific reason. Yeah, these are handpicked topics. These are handpicked Big Steve topics. Levi jeans.
Okay. My dad worked for them for 25 years.
Okay.
Wow.
Did you know that?
Well, I know that you interned at least there at one point in time. So.
Okay, you found that? Yes. So I interned for my dad. If you looked at my LinkedIn, it sounds really cool what I did there because my dad typed that out. All I did was put rebates in envelopes and mail them to people for like 3 weeks and during a no, underrated. They're a great company. My dad worked for them for a long time. I have one of my cool things I got to do. I went to concerts every weekend growing up, every weekend. Because my dad was a field marketing manager. That's what his specialty was. So all they did was sponsor concerts. So name an artist, and I probably met them or saw them in concert. My dad has a whole celebrity wall in his house and everything. And it was
Creed.
No, but I saw Nickelback and Three Doors Down.
Well,
okay, close enough.
I'm not
close enough. We'll count it.
I'm not proud of Nickelback. So, but yeah, Levi's underrated. Good company. They made a comeback because I remember my dad when he finally left them. They weren't cool anymore. They were kind of the old person brand. They really done a good job of making a comeback. So yeah, underrated.
What was Brett Favre? Was that Levi's or what was?
No, Wrangler.
Wranglers, yeah.
Okay, Wrangler.
The you.
And the only reason I remember that is, and don't remember that because of his commercials. I remember that because of the meme one that the video.
SNL.
Them, you know the meme.
Well, the SNL skit
I think no, it wasn't SNL. It was someone else.
Well, I thought didn't SNL have one too though? And they're like Wrangler, you fit jeans. My cock goes in there, and they says that he's like, you can take for dick pic, like because when he had the scandal.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
For taking pics of your dick, like, and he kept doing that whole thing.
Yeah.
Levi jeans seem pretty of good quality too. I think, right?
Yeah, they've always been really good quality because they were originally for minors. That's what they were made for people out mining
not underage people, but people.
Act like people digging for gold in the West Coast in like in the early.
You have to just keep saying things to make it more specific to not still be interpreted as minors.
Yes,
like people digging for gold in mines on the West Coast. You know. Give me those over a pair of Rascal Jants any day of the week. Am I right?
But not Massenomic jorts. Those are
exactly. That's
a different blend there. Okay.
Overrated or underrated? This is the last one, and we usually save the best for last. Everything comes down to this: overrated or underrated. Angelo Fortino, the lifter.
The lifter, underrated, 100%. The reason why is. I hate to give him all this credit. So Angelo doesn't have the highest total in his weight class. There's a lot of people that have.
So far, you're not giving him any credit, so you're all right.
I'm going to. When it comes to head-to-head competition, though, and actually showing up and competing against Angelo on the day, he beats people. I think he's 4-0 against Sean Noriega. He's 3-0 against Jamar Royster. He's 2-1 against Deuce Gruden. The only people he hasn't beat is Delaney and Russ, but people who have totaled higher than him. Deuce is totaled higher. Sean's totaled higher. Jamar's totaled higher. A bunch of people totaled higher. But when you actually go head to head with him, Angelo doesn't miss lifts, and then he has the trump card because he's going to have the last pull. He's got the most dangerous weapon in powerlifting. When you have that big deadlift. And so he hits squats, he hits deadlift or hits benches where he doesn't miss lifts. He's not going to give you like this opening of where you're going to be able to like hope he has a bad day. He's going to hit his lifts. And then if you have an off day, he's going to sneakily come in there and then outpull you. So no, as a lifter, I actually think he's underrated because you look at his total and you say all these people are better than him, but they don't beat him when it's head to head.
Well, that might be the most thorough answer anyone's ever given us for why a specific lifter they know is or isn't overrated or underrated.
Yeah.
Is there anything you could say bad about him we could use as like a soundbite clip?
Gosh. Well, one, thank you for having me on.
Where do I start?
Second time before him. Really appreciate that. Let's see what I can say. I mean, he would be overrated in the sense that he has to be the worst bench presser in that weight class for someone who actually totals 800 kilos. And it's getting better, but it's still somewhat embarrassing for the fact that I think Perk, who's a weight class below, totals like, well, not only, so Perk totals 30 kilos more than him and weighs 10 kilos less, and also benches like 25 kilos more. So yeah. So like I said, Angelo does great on meet day, but like he's also getting out totaled by a guy who's 10 kilos less than him and by 30 kilos. So that's kind of embarrassing.
But to be fair, like that guy kind of out totals like most of the people in that weight class.
We don't need to talk about that at all. We just need, you wanted just
no, I'll cut this part out.
Yeah. Just make fun of Angelo. He's totaled by a guy that weighs 10 kilos less than him.
Good news. It looks like you passed overrated, underrated, and that's really important. So
thank you.
The IPF may ban you, but you're good to go around Massenomics still.
Perfect.
You're always allowed around here.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And so if somebody listened to this and they're like, I'd like this Steve guy to coach me, could that happen?
No, actually, coaching wise, no. I probably won't take. I take on a very, very small number of athletes, and I probably actually won't be taking on anyone for a long time, because if you're looking for like, Steve, what can you plug?
Right.
I'm coaching less people now because of how much I've been putting into powerlifting now. Are you guys familiar with that platform?
Just a little bit from before this podcast. Really, I guess I looked a little bit, but yeah, explain that.
So me, Marcellus Williams, Sean Noriega, and Matt Cronin, we run powerlifting now, also with a fifth person, Marshall, who's our back end guy who runs the website and social media and all that kind of stuff. We call it the Powerlifters Library. Our goal was like, before, like, if someone says, where do you go to learn how to powerlift? There'd be like 18 different YouTube channels and 16 different websites, and here's 4 ebooks. We just really wanted to create, like, if you want to learn about how to powerlift and how to be a coach and how to be a lifter, like, here's one place to go. And it's gone, honestly, this isn't just like even being biased. It's gone really, really well. Like, I can't believe how well it's been received. The content, I really do believe. I mean, I watch all of it. Like, I'm a customer of it, not just per person who's just making videos, because I watch all of them. So we put that out there, and it's not very expensive in my opinion. We priced it pretty darn low for the reason that it's meant to be something that we want to be very accessible for anyone who may not be able to afford a coach, or maybe could afford a coach, or maybe you're wanting to be a coach and you're wanting to learn how to program and do all that kind of stuff, to be able to get all the information you need. So yeah, I think that's it's been a really cool thing to be able to do. And I think that's been a great addition. Even if I wasn't involved with it, I would say it's a great addition for powerlifting, just to have the information overload we have now that's readily available versus 5 to 10 years ago, where we were also running 5-3-1 and not knowing what else to do.
All right. That's good stuff. Yeah, we do appreciate you having you on. We'll probably let's see. We did a draft that one time when we had you and Angelo on. We did a powerlifter draft. Maybe we need to come up with another draft concept for us to do a little collaboration effort again someday.
I'd be down. This won't be tough, and this might not be in your wheelhouse. I had a fun one. Is worst powerlifting affiliate presidents. Power rank them.
That sounds like
I wouldn't be able to start
nerdy.
with one. Yeah.
I do love the concept though. That's really good.
Yeah. Yes. When you say that might not be in our wheelhouse, that's very far from our wheelhouse.
As
that's
if we
definitely
couldn't
not
name one ever.
Yeah. But yes, I'd definitely be down for some type of draft. Frankly, we still haven't done it because we never end up having guests on, because it just never happens. We need to have you guys on and interview you, because you deserve to be interviewed at some point. Because frankly, I don't know a ton about you guys and like all of your background and whatnot. I'd love to get more about that and flip it backwards and make you guys go through the ringer and see what you overrate and underrate.
Well, if you got a spare 600 hours, you could just listen to our last 400 episodes, and you'll if you listen every day, 8 hours a day, it'll only take you like 5 months to get through it. So,
yeah. All right, perfect. I'll start tomorrow.
That's your homework. And if you look, you just sort the wheat from the chaff. You'll find a few interesting tidbits that are actually lifting related in there. Every once in a while, you'll find something you might enjoy.
Perfect.
All right. Well, Steve, we did really enjoy having you on. I think people will like this. We appreciate it. keep everything in line over at Two White Lights, and we'll see you in the Instagram DMs and the ribbing back and forth comments.
Will we see you at the Arnold this year or not?
Yep, I'll be there.
All right.
IPF suspended and everything. I'll be there in person.
All right.
Do they put like a giant red X on you when you walk around?
And I will say it this year. I will come visit. Last year it was insane how busy I was. This year I should not be as busy. I shall come by.
Yeah, we saw.
I think we
Angelo
got a
several times.
We had a brewski with Angelo at the bar one night. I think.
We ran into.
Oh, really?
Last year in the Arnold. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he came by the booth, talked to him there, and then we saw him across the street when we went to that bar.
Well, when we were in the bar and we were looking for people and we were scanning and we were walking around talking to people, and before we knew it, he was like right underneath of us. It's like we had never saw you down there, Angelo. Well,
yeah. As powerlifters, you can easily, be able to find all the other powerlifters because you can look at straight on top of their heads, since you guys are actually not 5'4".
Yes. Okay. Well, we'll see you in Columbus in March then.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
See ya.
All right. See ya.
Cool beans. Cool beans.
That was good.
Oh, thank God. Can we finally talk shit about Two White Lights?
Now
it's hard for me to hold it in for that long.
Oh, it's like that meme where the guys are going to explode in class.
What's that meme called? I know the meme.
I don't even know what it's called.
It's got a specific. It's probably like "Ready to Explode, Steve" or something. It's like.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, Steve is good. He's got
He knows a lot about.
We do know way
world.
more about powerlifting than most people. But the second I start talking to those guys, I realize I just know.
We don't know anything about powerlifting.
Nothing about powerlifting.
Yeah, I think his not analogy, but his description of the differences of us is probably really fair.
Mm-hmm.
Of like the way we approach it versus the way they approach it. That's pretty much spot on, honestly. I think.
Yeah, it's they live. You can tell they live a very different life in the way that they consume, approach, think about powerlifting than what most people ever will.
But we even talked about it. I think we talked about it before recording tonight. Steve, for example, as a coach, he approaches being a powerlifting coach in a very professional manner.
Very professional,
in the sense
analytical.
That from a knowledge standpoint, he's like, he wants to know everything that's related to his specific area of expertise. And, like he is a subject matter expert in that area too. And that kind of shows.
Yeah, totally. No, we talked to a ton of people on the show, and there's not a lot of people that we talk to where even like unintentionally, I get the impression that that person knows a lot about powerlifting. He is one of the few guys that I really do get that impression from.
Well, and it's funny when we say about powerlifting, like part of it, like sometimes a coach is just like, I am going to help train you to get your squat, bench, and deadlift to hopefully go up. That's one level. And like, that's a very important level, like maybe the most important part of being a coach, I would say. But then there's also like all this games, not gamesmanship, but just like actually like gaming the sport kind of, or like understanding the sport of like the intricacies.
You could just say actually playing
the
game, honestly.
Right. Playing the game. That's probably two different
because he has people that are at the level where they can play the game.
Right. And I do think it's, if I remember how it goes, it's all about the game and how you play it.
Yeah, it's all about the game
and how you play it. What WWE wrestler came out to the
Triple H?
Is that Triple H? Yeah, the game. Yeah, makes sense, I guess, doesn't it?
Yeah, actually, that reminds me. I did see a clip on Instagram this week. I don't know. It was. I don't know if it was like from Punk'd back in the day or something. It was someone was trying to pull a
You just got punked.
Yeah, they were trying to pull a prank on Triple H where he like smashed this girl in her face on her wedding day, and he was totally like neutralizing the situation, and it was so funny.
He was like, being like really professional.
He was being very professional, and he's like,
the
guy's like, you broke my camera, and he's like, listen, buddy, I will pay for it. Now he's like, now leave. He's like, no, you broke that. He's like, I'm going to break you pretty soon if you don't leave this room. And he's like being so calm. You're like, man, he's almost just a professional wrestler 24/7. I did, because I don't know a ton about Triple H. I always thought, honestly, he's got a great physique and he was always jacked and everything, but I always thought of as a wrestler, he was a little bit boring because he didn't have the flashy moves that a lot of the other guys do. But he also has been a pretty pivotal figure of the WWE for the last 30 years.
Yeah. What are Triple H's big moves?
Oh, wasn't his one just was it the pedigree? Is that what he
the
did?
pedigree. That's what it is, right? Yeah, it's the pedigree.
Yeah,
yes.
which is just a lame.
I don't
special
remember
move.
what the pedigree is though.
Don't you just kind of do? Isn't it like just sort of like a face slam?
Okay.
Where you take you put the guy's head between your legs. Yeah, you put his head between your legs and you kind of put him in like a double chicken wing, and then just basically.
Are we
drop him
talking
down.
sexual things or wrestling here again? Now?
Yeah.
I love the thing I love about wrestling is how certain like if you were playing a video game, like the amount of damage that they impact, the health meter they go down, like moves that essentially look absolutely no different, but this one's someone's special move. It's just like damage level 100.
Oh, I know. Oh,
because this one has a name.
Yeah, we loved it. We had God, I don't even know what it's called. Some WWE game on GameCube. God, we would play that so much. Just load up Hell in a Cell or Tables, Ladders, and TLC match, and you just play it forever. It was so fun. It never got old.
Yes. Like, wasn't Bill Goldberg's the spear?
Yeah,
I'm like,
Bill
all it
Goldberg
was
had the
he was
spear.
just tackling them.
Yeah. And then like
It was just a really nice, powerful form tackle.
Yep, that's
But
all
it was
it
like
was.
it was a devastating move.
I always loved guys like the Hardy Boys or Rob Van Dam because you'd pull their special move was something off the turnbuckle, and it was always like the game was like, how far away can you be and still get the guy to do his special
still
move?
let it like
and
do
every
his
once in a
thing,
while, like they'd be on the opposite side of the ring, and for some
like
reason you get it to
glitch to it.
activate, and your guy's like doing this insane Olympic long jump onto the other guy. That was the little things. It was
Yeah. That's what makes those games special.
yes.
That's I used to play that Mount Rossmore and I when we lived in the dorm. I don't know which one it was. Would have been on Xbox at the time, but we would do it. It was the funnest thing. Like we would do this to each other. Like if you were on the bottom, it was so frustrating and just not fun. But you could actually pick up the steps, like the metal steps, and like you get them on the ground outside the ring, and it would just be a sick game of like, I'm going to beat you to death with these steps for like, I'm never going to get up and let you do anything else. Like every time I'll like let your character almost get up. And then as soon as you can, I'm beating you to death with these steps again. And just like, letting that go on for as long as humanly possible until someone quits. And,
that's what was fun about those games is there'd be points where like your character was like, I don't know, is he dead? I can't get him to do anything. But then every once in a while you get one punch
get a
in.
little,
It was kind of like how wrestling
whisper
is.
of hope.
You get one punch in and then it would all turn around. You might have gone off the top of a ladder through 5 chairs or through 5 tables and been just pulverized with a chair, but that one punch is what stops the other guy.
Yes. Good stuff. Do you want to hear about Larry?
I do. I really want to hear about this.
Not a real long story, but anyone that's been around Massenomics for a while, they know the legend that is Larry Legend. Massenomics Gym, legendary member from inception till now. There's just so many Larry stories, you couldn't even tell them all. But he, the other day I got back from the gym over lunch hour and I walked in and someone was like, Larry was looking for you. I'm like, Larry, who?
Like you're saying at work, right? Someone at work is saying this.
Like this is in my office at work. He's like, oh, the guy that, works for who he works for. And I'm like, oh, Larry Legend's here? And I'm like, where is he? Are they outside working on something? They're like, no, they're inside. He's in the maintenance room.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, oh, they called him the big
indoors?
guns. that was my thing. I'm like, oh, they called the big guns inside, huh? What's going on? And he's like, oh, they're digging a hole to China. And I'm like, oh, I got to go check this out. So I walked in and there's 3 guys there. One guy's halfway in the hole. I can see his just upper torso. The other 2 guys are outside. I don't know, outside the hole. This is in our building, in our maintenance room, the concrete floor maintenance room.
So they'd like jackhammered through the floor?
Yeah. Well, and I'm like, where's Larry? I'm like, where's that son of a bitch Larry at? And they're like, and nobody said anything. And there was a pause and he's like, I'm down here. And I'm like, down where? And he was like 10 feet down in the hole inside the building, and they were working on something, and he was like, he's like, get down here, you lazy bastard. And I was like, and they were very, very busy and like very in the heat of the moment of like really serious work that like they don't want someone coming to fuck around
no
with
time
them.
to fool around.
Yeah. So I just said, oh, I'm going to go get my work boots and I'll be back. and then I did not come back, and I did not help.
It was a bit of an Irish goodbye, you could say.
Yeah, I Irish goodbye to him. But that was the Larry story. It was just a fun day at work though, because even then I went back to my office and I just knew that Larry was about 10 feet below me. Really,
it's just a real
really
comforting feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, like
Real
we're in good hands.
feeling.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know he ever had to go inside a building.
I would imagine it doesn't come up very often.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I also didn't know people had to dig.
Or
Yeah, it was the fire safety system water main, like a 6-inch main that comes into the building, and was probably been leaking for 5 years or whatever. But yeah, I didn't know people had to dig holes that deep through commercial buildings into the floor from the inside. I'm like, holy shit. Because they're like, oh, he's like, I'm down here. And I'm like, Larry?
Someone should help
Larry?
that guy. He's way down
Yeah.
there. Wow. Do you ever seen the movie The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Is that the standoff movie that's yeah,
It's Clint Eastwood. And
Clint Eastwood,
they do end it with a standoff,
Right.
yes.
yeah, but Clint Eastwood, yes. Okay, yeah, I know it.
And they have a saying. I tried to Google it quick, but I didn't. I'd be too checked out. But there was something about like there's three guys. There's the guy with the shovel, or there's the guy that digs the hole, the guy that watches, and something else. But
okay,
it's kind of a saying for Larry's life, I'm sure. If I could,
yeah, and he's always the guy that's like doing the work too.
He's always the guy with the shovel.
Yes. Do we have anything else we want to get to this week? That got any burning?
I could
topics?
tell you. I have a bit of a reputation as not being a movie guy, but I might be becoming a little bit of a movie guy here as the days go by.
This sounds like we're going to have to bring back Has He Seen It to really put that to a test.
You might have to wait like a year or two before you really bring that back. But
okay,
yeah, I've had this TV is really inspiring me to watch more movies, and I have managed to watch 3 movies in the past 2 weeks, which is 3 more movies than I've probably watched in the past year.
What 3 movies did you choose?
So, one kids movie. I almost can't even count kids movies because they're just sort of always on. But this is one of the few that we basically
really watch it.
This is one of the few that we actually sat down and watched the whole way through. It would be Coco from Pixar. A very, very good one.
Okay.
The one where it's the Day of the Dead, the Mexican heritage thing.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, all Pixar movies are good. So I enjoyed that. The other one was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I think, whatever the first one is there. It's sort of like an animated Spider-Man one. Actually, that one was really good too. I liked it a lot. It did involve knowing 1,000 other Marvel things. Like I could just sit down and watch it, and the whole movie made sense to me, not knowing a thing about anything else. So that one was a good one. And then I wanted to sit down one night and watch a movie. And the problem with every movie I was picking was that they were all between 2 hours and 45 minutes and like 3+ hours long. I'm like, cannot do that at 10 o'clock at night. There's no way. I mean, I'll just pass out. So eventually I found a movie that was about an hour and a half. And that movie was Predator. And I have never seen Predator in my life. And
Arnold.
What blew my mind about that movie is the number of tropes, one-liners, all these things that
come
I
from
assume
Predator.
come from that movie. I don't think they're ripping them off from anywhere else. But, man, just the meme of... And I knew the meme of the handshake from there. I knew that came from
you
there.
Son of a bitch.
Yes, but to actually see that in a movie was like, okay, wow. It almost like takes you out of the moment. You're like, oh, they put a meme in this movie. So that when Jesse Ventura does the "I ain't got time to bleed," that whole say. I mean, me and my friends have been saying that forever. I had no idea what that came from. So to see that, and then I mean, the Predator is also a pretty historic, legendary legacy.
Predator on the orange glaze scale?
What do you think it's on there? He said.
No, what do you give it on your orange glaze scale?
My orange glaze scale. See, this is also what's weird though, is that action movies, as crazy as that movie probably was at the time, they move at such. They're not even the same thing anymore. Like the pacing is so different. Okay, does my orange glaze scale go to 10? I'd probably give it about a 7. I think.
Okay, 7 on the glazometer.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to kind of weight it, over time. You have to give it like a weighted score because it's like, well, today most of the effects suck. The pacing is way, not that the pacing has to be crazy, but just the way the common conventions for how you shoot and edit something that is supposed to be action has changed so much. But you can see how that was the foundation for a lot of action movies going forward. So yeah, I can give it a comfortable 7.
So would you say you're kind of a movie guy?
I'm slowly getting
like
there.
What we're saying.
I'm slowly getting there. I did go, and I also, half the battle is knowing what you want to watch, because that's always a problem. So I
know
did.
It sucks when you sit down and you're like, okay, now I spend 30 minutes of time trying to pick something, and by the end of it, you're like, just forget it.
Yep. So what I did is I went to my HBO account, and for the first time ever, I actually made a list. You have your My List. I actually added about 40 things to the My List. So when I sit down, my list is considerably smaller. I'm not looking through all of HBO. I'm just looking through a few essentials to pick that
like
movie. So
Anchorman, Dumb and Dumber, Austin Powers.
All the classics I put on there that I want to rewatch again. Just that stuff. And if I get time, if I get through those for like the 5th, 6th, 7th time, then I'll think about branching out. We'll see.
Right. Would you ever watch The Wire again?
No, I would not. I don't really watch TV. Actually, I shouldn't say I would never watch it again. It's just not on my list in the next 5 to 10 years. And that's not a knock against the show. I don't watch any shows. I've never watched. Only show I've ever watched twice would be the first season of True Detective, but that's also like 6 episodes, so it's pretty easy to watch twice. Like, that's not that big of an investment. But yeah, The Wire, maybe in 10 years or so, when I probably forgot a lot of it, I'd watch it again. But there's too many. Before I dump 70 some hours into something, there's too many other things I need to be watching to. Yeah. Instead of, I hardly ever watch repeats of movies. That's not something that I do often. But when I made my list, my HBO list, I did put all of the Lord of the Rings on it, and I did put all the Matrix movies on it again, because I for sure have not seen the Lord of the Rings movies since high school. So I wouldn't
be like watching a new movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem revisiting those. The original Matrix movie, I did watch that probably the last time I watched that. It was actually my first house, so that was now like 7 or 8 years ago. And that movie's just too much of a classic to not watch again. So I will watch that one again too. But other than that, there wasn't too many repeats on my watch list.
All this talk kind of makes me want to watch Band of Brothers again.
I did actually put that on my on my watch list too. I think I said I watched like the first 3 episodes of that, but I was watching it with my wife, and she was checked out, so we had to switch. Which we are, and we're also working through the last season of The Righteous Gemstones. We got like 1 or 2 episodes left there, so really have solidified my TV watching lately.
Yeah, maybe
with all this free time I got,
Yeah, I'm gonna think about The Wire one of these days. Maybe
just think about it. You don't want to jump into something you're not ready for.
There has been times when I've gone to the TV and thought about watching, or planned to watch something, and actually looked at The Wire, and I just couldn't do it. It just it didn't compel me enough.
It's daunting. I know. I get it. I totally get it. I actually talked to a guy at the gym the other day from Maryland, and I go, "Hey, he knew a little bit about Massenomics," and I said, "We got some Massenomics fans from Maryland, and a recurring point in Massenomics is The Wire. Have you ever seen The Wire?"
Yeah.
He had not seen The Wire, so
he's in my exclusive club of those.
I was waiting for him to be like, "Oh, it's the best show ever." Yeah, of course I'm from there. I love it. But that wasn't the case.
I know absolutely nothing about The Wire, but I have this mental picture of what The Wire is in my head, and I just feel like it's gonna be a downer for me. Like I feel like it's dark and a downer for me, and I don't want it.
You're probably gonna. Hate
I feel
this
like
comparison.
It's dimly lit.
Maybe. What's the toughest thing for the first season is it looks kind of shitty by modern standards.
I can get over that stuff. Though,
yeah, but it's just the first season. After that, it looks better too.
Is it dimly lit? Is it dark?
Really?
Is it dark and overcast all the time? Is it evening all the time?
There's a fair amount of evening, actually even nighttime. There's a fair amount of nighttime, and then like cops working in like a really shitty rundown office. There's a lot of that, but there's also a surprising amount of daytime drug trade watching and things like that as well.
Okay,
but you'll probably hate this comparison. But if I had to compare the type of show, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, those are the type of shows that are very much about a character.
Right.
Game of Thrones is about
about 30 characters.
It's really like the society, this world they're in, and these everyone's just pawns in the world. The Wire is very much more of a show like that. And so if you take the drama of The Wire or the drama of the Game of Thrones and take it out of a sci-fi land and put it in late 90s or early 2000s Baltimore police world, that's kind of where you're at. Yeah. But they don't quite nail the high drama in the same way that Game of Thrones does. But they don't have problem killing off main characters either, though. So it's got that part to it, too.
Kind of like Game of Thrones then, too.
But also, man, over the last 20 years, people really figured out, you watch Game of Thrones, they really figured out how to heighten the drama of when stuff happens. You're like, oh my God, this is world ending. You know, you're like, you get done with an episode, you have to like catch your breath. And like in The Wire, a main character can die, and it's just kind of like matter of fact, like, that guy you loved for the last 30 hours, it's almost
gone.
like he's just dead, and then like the show just moves on. They don't even like dwell on it. Storytelling was changed there.
You know what I was thinking that's kind of odd?
What's that?
Well, actually, this wasn't going to be an ad, but I know that is how I transition to ads, so I'm going to do that.
I really thought you were leading with an ad, and then you were stopping to think, and I thought maybe he's not leading me with an ad.
Your response made me think like, oh, it reminded me I should be reading an ad here, actually. So yeah, what was it that I said? You know what else that made me think about? Or?
Yeah, it's basically what you said. Yes, and I'm very curious what you.
Well, first we'll get to the strength call.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of
I don't want you to forget, though. Don't you forget. Don't forget that.
Speaking of dark things, the strength call plates are black E-coated, but they're not dingy. They're shiny, actually. That's a finish that pops on them. They are smooth and still easy to grip all at the same time. The finish is made to last. We've got several thousand pounds of the strength call iron plates right in Massenomics Gym. We use them every single time I'm there. I use them every single time I go to Massenomics Gym. Everyone does. They just run. They sprint to those plates. They go right to them. Check out their plates at thestrength.co. They also introduced their bumper plates here in 2023. We've got a whole stack of those at Massenomics Gym. You can check out the Semper Fi bar. Check out their collars. We did a little YouTube video on their Strength Co collars. I think they're pretty cool. There's a couple features of those that make those interesting in comparison to some other collars. Check it all out at thestrength.co.
This episode is also brought to you by Swisslink. In 1995, Maurice Big Mo Huffman founded Swisslink with the mission to bring authentic Swiss Army goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. Now, for nearly 3 decades, Big Mo has been traveling far and wide in search of the best items from military forces around the world. Big Mo doesn't only find authentic military clothing for Swisslink, he brings in everything you can imagine from Swiss bayonets to Czech microscopes. Swisslink.com is also home to the Swisslink Classic Wool Blankets. They're an ideal mix of 80% wool and 20% recycled fibers. It's that special blend that provides a soft, luxurious feel while maintaining all the benefits of wool. Wish you could wear your wool blanket around all the time? Well, now you can with the Swisslink Classic Wool Pants. And they are a classic. Swisslink's exceptional collection and dedication to quality customer service distinguishes them from the rest. Enjoy a 15% discount on your next purchase at swisslink.com by entering code MASS at checkout. That's MASS to save 15% at swisslink.com. Thank you, Swisslink.
Spank you, Swisslink. Here's a little teaser. Next week, our guest should be an NFL player. It's not Cole Keefe this time either. It's not the same position, not the same team. A different NFL player. Should be current active NFL player roster.
Yeah,
guys. So that should be kind of fun. Talking about sports, like we were talking about earlier, just made me think of it. This is our sports and book segment.
I was going to say, do we need to revive the sports and book segment for him?
Well, I think we might need to. So stay tuned for that. That'll be interesting. But you know what I was thinking about?
What's that, Tanner?
So
I was thinking about the strength call recently.
It's the strength call again.
Yeah, we just go on this loop.
Smooth and easy to grip. Did I already do this?
He's broken.
Yeah.
Someone reset him.
That reminds me. You know what else I really like? Build Fast Formula.
Well, I'll be on our drink hack. Watch out, Sioux Falls.
We just start the whole episode over. Like, this is 2 more hours of this. No.
Tommy, is Steve ready to go yet? We already had him on, Tanner.
I've got a few kids that are in school. They're in one that's in, what do you say? here's another thought. Junior high or middle school?
I've always said middle school. I never, for a very long time, never really even understood what junior high was.
Yeah, we always said junior high.
Really?
Yeah, but I think they say, in Western Northeast South Dakota, they say middle school.
Yeah.
And also a lot of places for a long time, 9th grade was middle school or not.
See, that's weird
kept
to me
with
too,
the high school.
Because my middle school was 6th through 8th, and high school was 9th through 12th, and I just assumed that's how it was everywhere until I got older and realized that's not actually the case.
Right. Then that's the correct separation to me. K through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12. But a lot of people will go 10 through 12, and sometimes 6 will still get lumped in with the grade school too. Like it'll go like K through 6 and then 7 through.
The difference between 6th and like 6 is too old to be in a grade school. Grade 6 is too old to be in a grade school.
Right.
And then 9th grade is too old to be with like 6th graders. I feel like it's
right.
I don't know. I think that 9th through 12th seems, what you said, K through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12. That to me makes the most sense.
That makes the most sense to me. And then also there's the difference of what you call that 6 to 8 group, middle school or junior high. Not my point of this though. Like, it's funny. You even said it there. We're talking about 6th graders. You said grade 6, the 6th grade. Why is it 1 through 12? I mean, I know the high school ones all also have names. You could say 9th grade, you could say freshman, you could say 10th grade, you could say sophomore, you could say 11th, junior, 12th, senior. That's also kind of an odd thing if I think about that.
A little bit.
But
And then also that it repeats in college again.
True. Yeah. It's like, no, now I'm a freshman again. Oh, yeah. But why is, well, and I kind of can answer my own question here, but things have changed. But it's odd to me now, like every kid starts not in 1st grade, you start in kindergarten.
Right. Like,
this
why
is the
isn't that
one.
just one?
Right. Why isn't that one? Why isn't that first? To be like, no, this isn't first. This is kindergarten. Oh, and you're like, oh, it's like preschool. You're like, no. There's a different thing that's preschool.
Yeah.
That's before kindergarten.
Yeah, kindergarten.
Like that's
is the
before you really go to
second
school. You go to preschool.
Yeah, second level
and you're
is
like,
pre. Yeah.
you're like, no, this is the one we don't call a number. It's got a ridiculous. I don't know. What is kindergarten? German or like what is?
Well, I feel like so much of our like the names of that stuff pulls from something Greek or Latin or something.
Right.
All that higher education does.
Like kindergarten seems like something Hitler would yell to me, like kindergarten.
That's actually I don't know why. Like, why is that the way that is? I have no idea.
Well, and I do. So when you went to kindergarten, what? I went every other day when I was in kindergarten.
So, but did you go for a full day though, or not?
I went every other day. I think it was a full day.
See,
but it was
and
only every other day.
When I went, I believe I went every day for a half day.
Okay, but now, even when my 6th grader was in kindergarten, when my current kindergartner is, you go every day. It's no different. Like it's literally not even different.
They just go, okay.
Yeah, you go every day, all day, like just like all the other grades do. So that's why it's kind of silly now because there's not even that difference. Like that's where I could kind of see some of the difference. Like this is called something different because these kids are only here half the time. You go all the time.
Yeah.
Like there's no half days. You're just in school like everyone's in school.
Yeah. I mean, those are all great. You got good points there. Also, you are correct. Kindergarten is a German word.
Okay, so it's kinder is like kid, or
and
something.
garten as in garden. It's actually
It's
I didn't. I just read something about this the other day. Basically,
right.
I basically read something about this the other day, and it's funny how true it seems to be. Is like if you're never unsure what a German word is, just like say it like as an angry English version, and that's probably what it is. And you're right, like kindergarten, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just like a kid's garden. Like you're just saying it in an angry way, and you get there.
So I just think it's weird.
I agree.
And that was that, and then an unpaid and underrated, slightly relevant now that I think about it. They were talking about, and I've known this for a long time, but Canadians, they don't say college; they say they go to university. Yeah. Also, I know from Trailer Park Boys, they say that phrase like my grade 12, my grade 11, my grade 9, and like people here normally don't say it like that. Like, it wouldn't be crazy if someone said that, but that's not normal to say. I made it to my grade 12.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. To me, the one that my brain had a hard time getting used to forever was university. I'd listen to these podcasts and hear people talk about, oh, and then I went to university, and I just thought, like, that is the most wrong way to say that ever.
Right.
And now I think I've heard it enough that I just accept it as that is how other people say it. But yeah, that one was a weird one for a long time for me.
Well, here's my other question, I guess, related to that. What is the difference in 2023 between a college and a university?
Is
there even like differences in that? Like, I think
I don't know.
I think
is
university is like like maybe slightly considered a slightly more prestigious level. Like, that college is almost more like, what junior college would be to university experience or something like that. I don't know, but I don't think that the terms are used synonymously.
So
I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like today they are used interchangeably. But this says university typically refers to larger institutions offering both undergrad and grad programs.
Okay.
I think the big thing there is the graduate programs, where college refers to community colleges, technical schools, liberal arts colleges. Yeah, all places that you would not see maybe even a 4-year option, or if you do, you probably would not see a graduate program of any kind. So that does make sense to me.
But then we all say go to college.
Yeah, we do though.
We're all talking about going to university.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we got that one wrong if you really think about it.
I mean, kind of, yeah. But also, though, when you're a freshman, though, when you're in,
it really is just college.
You are going to college. You're not going to.
Right.
I mean,
that's true. You're
if doing
it is
the
a big
college
university
portion of it. Yeah, you're doing the undergrad portion of it.
True. Usually, some people they're there for like 3 freaking years with and they're doing the college portion of before they even have it honed in on taking anything other than generals and
really giving it the college try. You could say,
giving it the college try. Yeah, giving it the college try. So that's I guess that kindergarten up through university.
Yeah.
There's a lot of oddities with the naming conventions.
Yeah. Lots of people go to college for 7 years, right?
They're called
doctors.
They're called doctors, yeah. But I still, out of all those odd things we talk about with grades and universities, colleges, and all that stuff, I still think kindergarten's the most weird.
It is. It actually is.
No, we have 1 through 12 plus kindergarten.
Yeah.
Like that's like, I don't know. It's just stupid.
Like preschool, you could at least say, like, if someone is completely foreign to the system, you say, order all of these grades where you think they go. Most people you would hope would get 1 through 12 in that order correct. And then you're like, okay, and the leftovers are preschool and kindergarten. You'd be like, preschool really makes sense to go at the beginning.
Yeah.
I guess kindergarten, like maybe they're like, I don't know. Maybe it goes in the very beginning. Maybe it goes at the very end. Maybe it's like a break in the middle of all of it. I don't know.
So that's it. Kindergarten. So you went every day a half day.
I believe. I don't remember the best, but I'm pretty sure I was every day half day. Yeah.
We went every other day. So you had a desk. You shared your kindergarten desk with someone that came on the other day.
Yeah. Well,
so it was odd. It was always like this mysterious person that was sitting in your desk every day that you weren't there.
Yeah, pissing their pants in your chair.
And then there's a few rare occasions for the year when both classes came on the same day, and it'd be like, oh, you're this guy that we have this odd bond with, but yet I've never like that we're not friends.
Buddy.
Yeah, right. It's like, no, this is where I sit, and like, who are you and all your weird friends like sitting in my friends' spots?
Yeah,
I do remember that even as a 5 or 6 year old.
Yep. I mean, there's like a whole clone of what we have something special here, and you mean to tell me there's a group doing the exact same thing as us?
Why is my teacher treating you like she would me?
Like you're smart and cool too. Can't be that many smart and cool kids here.
I think it was like triangle and circle day too. Like you were either a triangle kid or a circle kid.
I don't think we had that. No.
Okay. Okay. Did you have in high school block scheduling? Did you have traditional scheduling?
They actually changed. That was a weird thing for me, or for our school that changed, because we were on, our school would have been, I believe, on trimesters. and then they switched it 2 semesters, like just a couple years before I got there.
Okay.
And then I think that block scheduling thing was a thing that had too, because doesn't that give you a
we
little
had
more
block scheduling?
Yeah, where you have a little more
school,
leeway to just kind of because you're
well, every class was an hour and a half long.
Yeah, and I
you know,
think
there's just like 4, and then you had like we had green and gold days. You know, the school color. So it was like 1 week Monday, Wednesday. Like we didn't have every class every day. You had classes only every other day because they were an hour and a half long instead of 50 minutes long.
Okay.
And then you had them like on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you'd have the same classes. And then it was kind of more like college in a way. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays, you'd have
see,
the
ours
same classes.
was not like that at all. We had, it was just
like 50-minute periods.
Yeah, 50-minute periods and like 8 a day or whatever it was.
The brutal part about that is though, when you're a high school kid and you have to sit through, if it's a subject you hate, and you have to be there for an hour and a half.
I would have really struggled.
Not that, shoot me.
Yeah, not that I had a hard time paying attention, but that same thing,
Right.
like, oh, this class sucks. And now I think 50 minutes. I'm like, 50 minutes? That's not enough time to do
Barely
anything
even started.
now.
I know, like I barely opened.
I can't do
my
anything
book.
of importance in 50 minutes. And yeah, you remember just staring at the clock some days. God, an hour and a half would have murdered me in some classes.
Yeah. There was one other school thing I just thought of, but it escaped me that I really wanted to ask you now, and I just
C day,
like for lunch.
Yeah,
that's Karma. Oh no, I know what it is. This might be odd to some people. I don't know if this is a Midwest thing, a South Dakota, or maybe this is just a very rural. This might be a very rural school thing. We never had this, but it's become more common for area schools in around Western Northeast South Dakota, smaller ones. They don't have school on they only go to school 4 days a week.
4-day school week, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that never existed. I don't really think even when we were in high school that really any schools were doing that. But now
I don't remember that. Yeah.
Especially the small schools, I think they're using it as a marketing tactic to get people into their schools. You know, a lot of these ones that are on
here. We have 4.
Yeah, a lot of these ones that are on the
week.
verge of closing. I mean, those are the ones you see most commonly doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
Schools that are on the verge of closing. The ones where their main way that they're keeping it alive is because they're pulling students from the biggest next adjacent town.
Yeah,
and I think it's just a marketing ploy. I mean, they'll say.
So do you think parents?
I shouldn't say
want
just
that.
That. No, because I don't think parents like it because now they have a day. There's a day every single week where they don't know what their kids are doing all day long.
Right.
I think they say teachers teachers and students obviously like it because it's
one less teachers would love it. Be like, great, I work 4 days a week, but it's a longer day, like slightly.
I think, yeah. I mean, it has to be because they have a certain number of hours they have to hit by the state.
Right.
So yeah, they'd have to be probably 2 hours longer. All those other ones. So do they start 45 minutes earlier, go 45 minutes later, and then also cut lunch by like 30 minutes or something?
That's what I was going to say. I think they cut a little bit of the daily schedule to make up for it, so it's not truly going that... Like, at the end of the day, you're at school slightly less.
Yeah. I've never heard of any of the big schools in the state doing it. I've only heard of schools that are like that very small
little
class.
School.
That
Yeah,
do it.
right.
Which makes you think that maybe there is a reason for it.
Did you know that rural schools... in South Dakota, it was very common for, this is like, I would say maybe 60s and earlier, that they had dormitories for the high schools in the town where the kids, like during the school week, they would all come and stay at the dormitory
because be a boarding school.
It was like they'd stay in like apartments and boarding because it was like a matter of transportation to even get to school.
Well, when
so
you think about it, how just much shittier vehicles were then, and
right,
then also how much
exactly.
shittier the roads were too. Then,
right.
The highway system was much less developed, and I don't know when did the interstate system come around? Was that the 50s? Something like some 40s, 50s, something like that. But you think about those things. If you don't have good roads to get places, and when you're talking South Dakota,
where we're going. We don't need roads unless it's to get to school. We actually do.
Like our buddy Zane. Like this might blow people's minds to hear this.
Yeah.
Our buddy Zane, he grew up West River. I believe he said he drove, was it 32 miles to get to school every day?
Yeah,
that's
would
insane.
Be not crazy.
That is insane.
No,
And there's a large portion of the state of South Dakota that's not an unusual statement to drive 30 plus miles to school.
I only grew up 30 miles from Western Northeast South Dakota. So like to a fairly, relative to the state, a metropolitan area. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny to say, but kind of still true. But we would have people that drive that far, you know, to go to school, and like we're not even like Zane, the place he lived is insane. Like even for like our rural standard here, like where he lived is crazy.
Yeah,
like,
there's just no civilization. There is no
right. There is
people.
barely civilization. But we even had it like that, where it was like you had to drive that far, you know, and we're kind of civilization, or at least like not too far from it. He really is in like not civilization in that area. Yeah, like that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole different world.
Yeah, so that's our school segment.
School. You're welcome.
School
everyone.
is for fools. Look at me.
Don't ever leave. Cherish it.
Those are also our review of Billy Madison, an excellent movie starring Adam Sandler, Chris Farley as the bus driver. What was Chris Farley?
Miss Veronica Vaughn.
Yeah, what was Chris Farley was the bus driver?
Yeah, he was the bus driver.
Okay. Yeah. That Veronica Vaughn is one hot piece of ace. Okay, should we wrap this one up?
I suppose.
All right. Make sure to check out our drop coming out on Tuesday. Order anything. Once the drop releases, you get the free Massenomics 2024
commemorative calendar.
Commemorative phase, including Phases of the Moon for 2024. Tommy, where do they find you at?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Baird. Just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
See ya.